All right, we just got to get everything set up. Audio check. Why isn't YouTube making any audio sounds? All right, we just got to get everything set up. Okay, audio's good. We'll bring up a guest in just a second. I just have to finish setup, okay? All right, we should be good to go. You're officially a student now. Congrats. That's amazing to hear. I'm proud of you. All right, let's bring up a guest. Faithless Facts. Faithless Facts, how's it going?
Hey, Dr. Blitz.
Okay, so that was, let's pretend that didn't happen. That was kind of weird. In the meantime, yeah, that was real weird. Shave it? Shave what? What should I shave? What am I supposed to shave? Wait, what does MAGA have to do with science? Well, as a political movement, they are anti-science. That's like the whole thing. Sorry, let me make sure that I'm in my tiny ninja thing. Let's talk to today. All right, we should be good to go everywhere. Let's see if today connects. Thanks for the super chat there. I appreciate you, Andrew. With the $10, have a good stream. Thank you. I will. I will do my best. All right, it looks like this person's not connecting. Let's talk to Bitcoin.
Yo.
Bitcoin, how's it going? Is
Good,
that the
how are
real
you?
Bitcoin?
Yep. Well, I'm one of 21 million.
Okay, what's your hash?
I'm not gonna share that. My nonce or whatever.
All right. Anyway,
Anyway,
are you MAGA?
I just want to. I am.
Okay. And you were gonna say?
I want to just to find out. Can I be a woman?
You're cutting out. Your mic is cutting out.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry. Give me just 1 second. I'm near my house. Is this any better?
Maybe. I guess we'll see.
All right. I just wanted to ask, can I become a woman?
I don't know. What's your brain doing?
I don't know. It's just there.
I mean, like, as far as I'm concerned, being a woman is like part neurophysiological, part psychological, part social. So, like, you know,
Can I become
if you meet all of the criteria, like if you meet all of the criteria for all of those pieces, then sure.
Hello?
Did you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I heard you. So I just want to clarify. So you think that Yes,
You're
For me?
cutting out again.
Okay. Here, this is going to be better in like 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds. I'm going to walk inside.
Sure thing.
Okay. I'm inside the house, so hopefully it's better now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I just want to clarify. You said that I can become a woman.
If you meet all of the criteria, yeah, sure.
Okay.
You're cutting out again. MAGA Wi-Fi, I guess.
Why is my internet doing this? Maybe. I don't know why my internet is betraying me right now.
It doesn't want to expose it doesn't want you to expose the truth.
So I guess not. It's the FBI.
Yep.
So anyway, I'll ever have babies?
LGBTQ FBI. Sorry, one more time.
Can I have babies?
I would imagine not. I mean, you can't give birth, I would imagine. I don't know your biology, and I don't know if you've been karyotyped, but yeah, I would imagine not.
I agree with that. This is alive.
You're cutting out again. Are you on Wi-Fi, or are you on 4G, or what are you doing?
I'm on Wi-Fi. I'm home now. I don't know why. I don't know why this is happening. Can you hear me though? Now?
I can.
I'm up against the router now, so if this isn't working. All right. Is a fetus alive?
Sure.
Is it a human?
It's a member of the human species. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, no, I agree with you on that. All right. I just wanted to ask those couple questions, and that's kind of all I wanted to ask.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Do you think that humans are the primary cause of climate change?
I would say yes.
Okay. Do you think that humans evolved from non-human ancestors?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say that vaccines as administered to babies are generally safe and effective?
Oh, yes. 100%.
And would you say that the data of neuroscience concludes that sex and gender are useful and distinct neurophysiological categories?
According to who, did you say?
Neuroscientific communities. I can give you sources.
I mean, I can agree that they have said that, yeah.
Okay. So do you agree with them?
I don't.
Okay. Why are you anti-science?
Wait, I'm not anti-science. I just disagree with them.
Are you a neurophysiologist? Are you or a psychologist or sociologist?
I mean, no, but I can, have opinions on things.
I mean, sure, you can have an opinion that the Earth is flat. That won't make you any less anti-science.
Well, that's not opinion. That would just be incorrect.
So how do you determine whether it's correct or incorrect without appealing to scientific consensus on something?
Well, I can look at the data myself.
Are you a neuroscientist? Are you equipped to examine the neurophysiological data?
I can read.
I can read too. I mean, being able to read doesn't mean I can evaluate the validity of every single scientific study that's available.
I mean, of course not, but a degree doesn't make you, suddenly be able to cross that barrier. There's plenty of people that are qualified that don't have a degree.
To an extent it does. That's like what a degree trains you to do, right?
I mean, well, in theory, yeah.
Right.
So wait, what if I told you that I actually am a neuroscientist?
Then I would just ask you I would ask you why your opinion disagrees with the opinions of other neuroscientists, and then we could talk about that.
Okay, well then, I'm a neuroscientist.
Okay, why does your opinion disagree with other neuroscientists? I imagine you have relevant sources that
in my
explain why they're...
in my very extensive work and, line of business, I disagree because I think that sex is purely biological, and I think gender can be covered with just personality.
Sorry, and on what grounds?
On my expert opinion.
No. So the thing about experts is that they can provide a basis for their positions. That's what makes them experts.
I mean, yes, but you want me to mention biology?
Biological. I want you to. I mean, I agree that sex is a biological thing. I want you to provide your sources for the claim that gender can be accounted for merely by personality.
Do you believe that gender is a social construct, or do you believe that is biological in nature?
So I like using the definition of gender as per the National Academy of Engineering, Science, and Medicine.
Okay, I like using the definition of gender as per the Merriam-Webster Dictionary of
Sorry, National Academies of Science and Engineering and Medicine. I got the name backwards. Yeah, so that's cool, but I'm appealing to. I thought you were a neuroscientist. I assumed that you would have been using a scientific definition, not a colloquial definition.
Well, of course, that's scientific.
Merriam-Webster's scientific?
Yeah, that's what me and my partners use.
Merriam-Webster doesn't claim to be scientific. They
I mean,
claim
that's
to be
fine.
descriptive
That's
of common
fine.
use.
Yeah, that's what we use, though.
I know I'm talking about categories. I'm not talking about just everyday common language usage.
Yeah, I know that's fine.
Right, so
I'm just letting you know that.
I asked about whether or not you think that gender is a meaningfully distinct category from a neurophysiological, social, and psychological perspective compared to
no.
sex.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so and to justify that, you're appealing to Merriam-Webster, which doesn't talk about categories. It talks about common language usage.
Well, I'm pointing to history and also every dictionary prior to, let's say, 2010.
Okay, so to be clear, you're not appealing to anything scientific here.
Well, of course I am.
What's
history? History, biology.
To be clear, can you point to anything scientific that makes the claim that it is sufficient that gender can be sufficiently accounted for using personality and personality alone?
I'm going to appeal to history, and
so that's a no.
That's a yes. I just gave you an example.
History is not something scientific.
Absolutely, it is. We can derive tons of scientific facts just by looking at history.
Wait, would you say that history is one of the sciences?
I think history can be considered science.
Oh,
like people often talk about the science of history.
So what is the historical method and what's the scientific method?
I think that we can derive truths from looking at history.
Yeah, and that wasn't relevant to my question. I asked, are you using a scientific
okay, then let me ask you
to achieve
why are you ignoring
to justify
history?
These positions? Sorry?
Why are you ignoring history?
I don't really care for what people historically believed. I care about what's demonstrably true about the natural world and the world that we inhabit.
Wait, isn't history a good way of finding out what's demonstrably true?
Generally, no. People have believed all sorts of crazy things.
I mean, but we can see that those societies collapse.
No, not necessarily.
Absolutely necessarily.
Well, I mean, insofar as every society has collapsed, sure, I guess. But I don't think that you can correlate believing something that's false about the world with societal collapse.
I mean, of course you can.
Can you give me an example?
North Korea is one.
North Korea is still in existence. It still has an operating government. Like, what do you mean they collapsed? They're still existing. They have nuclear weapons now.
They collapse at the moral level. Do you want to live in
North Korea? Okay, so now we're doing I guess this would be a Mott and Bailey.
No, I'm just giving you examples of if you believe bad things happen.
If you believe bad things, okay, so now we're just moving the goalposts.
No, that's been my claim the whole time.
No, it wasn't. You said that societies collapse when they believe wrong things.
Yes.
Which is different from bad things happen when you believe bad things. Those are different claims. This is like definitionally a Mott and Bailey that you're doing right now.
Okay, do you want me to give you a different example? This one seems to be tough for you.
Sure, give me another example.
Okay, let's go with the Roman Empire towards the end of their existence.
Sure, when was that?
I don't know, whatever was the end of their existence.
Like the 1400s?
I have no idea.
Okay, go ahead. What's the example?
When they started, so they started believing things that are bad. They started believing that like fiat currency works, that you can shave off like gold from the gold coins and devalue the dollar.
They didn't.
And you know what that led to?
What fiat? They were using coins that you weighed.
I know.
They weren't using fiat currency.
They absolutely were using fiat currency because they started shaving it off. They started shaving off the ends of the coins. By the end of the Roman Empire, that's why like so many soldiers.
When did they start doing that? Do you know what year?
I have no idea what year.
Okay, let's find out. When did Romans start shaving off coins? We can just Google this. This was in, I guess, the 1st century. I guess in like 64 AD or something like this. Now, when did the Roman Empire collapse?
You tell me.
Well, it depends on whether you're talking about the joint Roman Empire or the Western Roman Empire or the Eastern Roman Empire. But the fall of the Western Roman Empire, which is what Western chauvinists tend to appeal to, was 476 AD. So it took 400 years for their empire to stop being an empire after they started doing debasement. So are you going to tell me that, oh, it was definitely because they started shaving their coins. That's why the Roman Empire fell, even though it took 400 years?
I mean, that is one of multiple reasons would be my guess. And also,
Oh,
just
so now
because
it's a
they
guess.
started... No, wait. So here's what you're doing that's wrong. You looked at when they started shaving coins.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree that it was a very slow burn. They started shaving very, very slowly. And then by the end of it, it was basically all like tin. It wasn't actual gold. So it's not like
sorry, what's the evidence for that? And by the way, they used silver, not gold.
Or silver.
They continued using silver coins up until the late 3rd century AD. So that would be like the end of the 200s. So they still lasted another 200 years after they stopped using silver.
Okay.
So your point is still wrong.
No, absolutely not. My point is...
Okay, so wait. You made the claim that, when they started debasing their currency, the Roman Empire collapsed, and it took hundreds of years for that to happen.
I mean,
hundreds of years after their currency was completely debased in your view, right?
Well, it wasn't completely debased. No.
Well, they weren't using silver anymore. They weren't using gold.
Well, they were using gold initially. They started shaving off the coins, and then there was turmoil, and they had to switch, and they started shaving that as well.
Started shaving what? Tin?
Shaving off of the edge of
the edge of
what?
what?
Using. The coins.
What were the coins made out of?
I mean, it depends whether it was gold or silver.
They stopped using silver by the end of the 3rd century.
Okay.
Meaning that they weren't using silver and gold anymore.
And then what happened within 100 years? After
200 years. It took 200 more years before the empire collapsed.
200 years.
And to be clear, the Eastern Roman Empire lasted another 1,000 years after that.
Okay. Let's focus on the thing that we're focusing on.
The Roman Empire?
Yes.
Yeah, so the Roman Empire didn't cease to exist until the 1400s. The Western Roman Empire, the western part of the Roman Empire, stopped being Roman in 476.
Okay. So the problem is, when you do bad things happen. You
keep asserting that, and you haven't provided any good examples of this.
No, I just gave you an example where
your example wasn't an example, because it's not like they debased the currency and then the empire collapsed. In fact, the collapse of the Western Roman Empire is one of the most well-studied things, and I could guarantee you that historians do not agree that it was because they debased the currency.
It was one of the major factors. I can almost guarantee you they will point to that as well.
It's probably the case that it contributed. I mean, because like all things generally contribute to collapse like this, but you're just like making this like crazy assertion, and it doesn't seem like you actually can justify it. Why was there a 200-year gap between the cessation of using silver entirely and the collapse of the Western Roman Empire?
I'm not talking about...
That's what you're referring to. They basically shaved it down to the point that they weren't even using silver anymore.
That's not what I'm saying.
Then what are you saying then?
Well, if your claim is that they shaved it down to the point they're not using silver anymore, then that is what I'm saying. But if you're saying that they completely gave up on using any form of gold or silver, that's just not true.
No, so what happened is that by the end of the 3rd century, the amount of silver in each coin relative to the amount of other metals was basically non-existent.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I agree with that. That I agree with. And I think once you do that, it's very, very terrible. And we can look at...
And it lasted generations before it collapsed after that?
I mean, it's the Roman Empire.
So this was a bad example then, because it wasn't something where there's a very clear correlation between,
fine. You want me to, you know what?
Currency debasement and
I can give you a better
something
example.
bad happened. Yeah, please. Let's
go
try
to
example
America.
number 3.
Well, example number 2. Let's go to
the first one was
America.
North Korea, right?
Well, which is terrible. Yes, they believe bad things, and so it's a very bad country.
Right, but that wasn't your claim. Your claim was that
that is my claim.
Your claim was that it collapsed. but it didn't. It still exists.
Well, I mean, I guess fine. All right, fine. I'll give you that. It still exists, yes. I don't think you want to live there, though.
Yeah, I don't want to live in China either, but that doesn't mean that China is like some collapsed empire.
I mean, yeah, but I'm saying that you wouldn't want to live there because they believe in bad things.
I don't want to live there because I like living in a place that speaks the language I live, or that speaks the language I speak.
Okay. Do you agree that people believing bad things tends to lead to bad outcomes? Can you not agree to that?
It very well can. It doesn't always, but it can.
It very well can.
And by the way, when you say bad things, do you mean false things, or do you mean like morally corrupt things?
I would say both.
Okay, so I think that generally people believing false things doesn't necessarily lead to bad outcomes. I think that people believing like morally corrupt things, I think can. And in fact, often does.
So let's take a look at a current example right now. Let's take a look at America.
Mm-hmm.
So America went off the gold standard in 1971.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, inflation has run absolutely rampant. Okay. And that's because a lot of people believe
inflation has run rampant. We've had an average inflation rate of like 2.5%, haven't we?
I mean, why don't you look at like the price of gold since 1971?
So the average inflation rate since looks like we're looking at like 2.5% since the 90s. Let me pull up something that goes back further. Yeah, like since the 70s, like there was huge inflation in like there was an oil crisis in the 70s, the late 70s, early 80s. So there was like huge inflation for a year there, huge inflation in the early 70s in like 1973, I want to say. But let's say post oil crisis, the inflation has been like around between 2 and 4%.
Yeah, which is like disastrously bad.
I don't think that that's true.
You don't think you don't think that that's true?
Inflation between 2 and 4%? No, I don't think that that's disastrously bad. No.
Do you think houses are fairly priced right now? You like the price of groceries? Those are all good to you? You don't think that's bad at all? So to be clear,
inflation is not directly correlated with house price, first. Second, the price of groceries. No, they're not directly correlated. I mean, like there's a correlation, obviously. There's obviously a correlation, but the price of houses have not increased at 2 to 4% per year, right?
No, I agree.
They've increased significantly faster, so there's some other factor there which is non-inflationary.
I mean,
right?
there's like, absolutely there is. There's like inflation in real estate as well.
So like when we're talking about like the like consumer price index or whatever method you want to use to measure inflation, the rate of inflation between 2 and 4% is really like pretty normal. Groceries are quite high right now as a result of recent inflation, as a result of COVID, of course. So yeah, I mean, grocery prices are expensive right now. You're right. That was a result of some really bad policy making by the current president.
Current president?
During COVID, yeah, the current president.
Wait. What was the inflation rate in 2022? The annualized inflation rate?
I want to say it was like 8% or something like this.
Who was president?
Oh, that was Biden. Biden was president then.
Okay. Moving on.
Well, just to be clear, the current actions don't necessarily affect the inflation today. Monetary policy, foreign policy, domestic policy, all of these things can often take time to influence the actual things like inflation rate, cost of goods, cost of housing, and so on.
Who sets monetary policy, do you think?
Oh, it's the Fed.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're right.
But anyway, the point is that like there was like obviously we know that COVID was a thing, so that was going to contribute to inflation regardless. But there was some very, very bad domestic policy that was introduced. That I'm sure we could have a conversation about that. But we're also really, really off topic.
Let's get back on topic.
Yeah. So to be clear, you did lie to me when you said that you're a neurophysiologist, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So can you tell me what the main brain structure is that contributes to distinguishing sexes and is influenced by hormones?
What thing distinguishes between what?
The main distinguishing brain structure that can be used to differentiate between sexes and is controlled by hormones.
My guess would be the hypothalamus.
No, you'd be wrong. Anyway, so no, it's not the hypothalamus. It has a big long name, and it's definitely not the hypothalamus. But I'm not a
Hypothalamus
neurophysiologist
directly.
either. This is just something that I happen to have been taught by a neurophysiologist a long time ago. I forgot.
Wait.
But
What does the hypothalamus do?
doesn't it
You know?
control the hypothalamus controls some hormones, I think?
Yeah, it controls hormones.
Right, but that wasn't the question. The question was which brain structure
Right.
is the major distinguishing feature that you can use to distinguish sex that is controlled by hormones, not
Wait, can I give
that
you
controls
wait,
hormones.
Can I give you another major distinguishing feature that can distinguish between sexes? I can give you a really good one.
Yeah, in the brain?
Not in the brain.
Yeah, I asked about the brain.
Yeah, wait, do you want to know another one that's not in the brain?
Oh, well, I thought you were a neurophysiologist. I wouldn't care what you think about other parts of the body.
Well, why wouldn't I?
Because you're a neurophysiologist, not like an endocrinologist or something.
So wait, what does endocrinology have to do with anything?
Endocrinology would be like study of hormones. I guess you could also be like, what is it? What's the person who studies the undercarriage? There's a name, and I'm forgetting it. Anyway, the point is like it's pretty obvious that you lied to me, right?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Wait.
I mean that's fine, but you didn't know urologists. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. Urologists and OB-GYNs, gynecologists.
So here's my claim.
To be clear, you haven't actually provided any scientific evidence that backs up the original claim that you made that you can account for all of the features of gender purely through personality.
So here's what I'll say. I think you're a really smart guy, and I think you're pretty like honest and nice. So my claim is that we can learn truths about what works and what doesn't work by looking at history. I think history is one of the greatest things we can look at to figure out what is good for the flourishing of a society and what is not good for a flourishing of a society. So throughout all of history, we can see that sex and gender has been the exact same thing. We can look at dictionaries from 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago.
When you say all of history, do you mean like Western history since like the last 200 years, or what do you mean?
I mean, even further back, essentially at any point. And
because like there are like obvious distinctions between, I mean, they wouldn't use these words because they didn't speak English, but like there are like obvious like categorical social distinctions in various cultures across the world that distinguish between sex and gender.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, if you're
and those societies exist and like we're successful. So
if you're claiming that gender is just like a category for certain traits,
did you not listen to me at the very beginning? The claim is that sex and gender are useful and distinct categories that can be captured by biological, psychological, and social traits.
I don't think that's terrible. However,
okay, that's what the neuroscientist said, and you said you disagreed.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree. I just think I said personality covers that, is what I said. So I said, like, we can just account for that with personality.
I just broke something.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
That's really just...
So my entire claim is that the traits that you're pointing to, wait, are you okay? Did you like hurt yourself?
No. My dad made me a wood carving when I was a kid, and I just broke it. And I shouldn't have. And that's really upsetting. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't deny that there's like, generally feminine and masculine traits as prescribed by society, but I think that like that's usually just covered by personality. So your personality, you could be more feminine, you could be more masculine.
Can personality be captured biologically?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's the issue? You're just using a different word for the exact same category.
You're the one claiming that they're two completely distinct things.
No, I'm claiming that they are distinct categories. Sex and gender are distinct categories.
Yeah, I'm saying that. Well, for all of history, it's just been sex and gender are the same thing, and people have different personalities. And in very modern times, gender has.
But it's just not. That's just not the case. Like there are historical examples of this not being the case, right? So historical, like I mean, like we can even look at like I don't want to say slurs. We can look at various South Asian and Southeast Asian communities that have distinct either third genders, despite having like just male and female sexes. They didn't have concepts of male and female, but like they recognized that there were like two different biologies, right? So like like this is really well documented. So it's just historically false to say that historically this has always been the case. Like it's just not.
I mean, for the vast majority of all societies, there's been like man and woman.
I don't know how you could quantify it. Maybe it's true that the majority have had only two notions of gender, but like, okay. So
I think recently, you know, Americans have tried to separate these two things. They said, okay, now gender is its own thing, sex is its own thing. They're like not that tied together, and also men can become women.
But
and
well, this is
women
a scientific claim that's being made.
Right. So
I mean, if you disagree with that, then you should challenge the science, right? Or you should just acknowledge, like, yeah, I have this preconceived notion, and the science disagrees with it, so I'm going to disregard the science. Like, you can have that position if you want, but that's just fundamentally anti-science. There's a fly in my room.
It's not science. Well, hold on.
Sure,
the science. Wait,
sure
no.
it is. What do you mean? This is neurophysiology.
No, I'm saying that the science agrees with me, though.
No, it doesn't.
Absolutely, it does.
Gender is at least in part detectable in the brain. You can do brain scans.
Yeah.
And detect gender distinct from sex.
Yeah, I'm not denying that.
Okay. So gender is a distinct category from sex then.
But I think personality can just cover that just fine.
Okay, define personality then, please.
Personality is just your traits and characteristics that you have.
So personality could capture sex then? Because sex is a trait.
No.
Oh, well then what's wrong with your definition?
So personality is not going to cover just like features of your body.
Well, you said traits. What are traits then, if not features?
I mean, traits are like, you know, parts of your person, or they're rather parts of your character. So parts like
okay, now we're getting to some weird metaphysical stuff. What's character? What controls character? What defines character?
I mean, character is how you treat others. You're part of your values. How kind you are.
Does that include brain structures?
I mean, it's partially defined by brain structures.
Does it include brain structures?
What do you mean include? It's partially defined by brain structures.
Right. So you can have brain structures influence certain things. Sure. Influence things like how kind you are. Maybe. I don't know if that's true, but suppose it's true. Does that mean that the brain structure is captured by that trait?
That is meaningless to me.
Okay, let me clarify. A causes B. If you have something that captures B, let's say that A causes B, and B is a trait, and A is some physical mechanism, right? And you have some category that captures everything that has the trait B, and it captures other things too. Does that mean that your category is somehow describing the physical mechanism?
I have no idea.
This is a struggle for you. I can understand
that is definitely a struggle for anyone that would hear that.
So I'll say it again, but slower.
A causes B. Gender and sex. Can I quickly go back to gender and sex?
Sure.
So I'm gonna the science absolutely agrees that they are completely two different things, male or men and women, and they cannot be switched. So if you look at any basic biology textbook, you'll see that men have much greater muscle mass on average. They're taller on average.
Oh no, you're thinking of males.
Well, no, I'm thinking of men.
No, you're thinking of males, right?
No, I'm not.
Male is the biological category.
Do you know what a male is?
Yeah, it's a biological organism that produces large or produces small gametes, and it has a different hormonal, a different set of hormones in different quantities from the other category. A female would be somebody who produces large gametes, has again a different set of hormonal, like a different hormonal cocktail, has typically certain secondary sex characteristics, might have some differences in brain structure.
So I totally agree. So
yeah, so the word man and woman, these are gendered words, not sexed words. So man and woman,
no, these
are defined by the National Academy of Engineering, Science, and Medicine in different ways.
So, all right. So male doesn't refer to just humans. So like there could be like a male dog,
Yeah.
there could be a male
Yeah,
cat.
and the way that we distinguish those
male
things is through gametes and through hormone cocktails, and sometimes through brain structure.
So that's why I was saying when I was talking about men, I wasn't talking about males, I was talking about actual men. Because men have, like I was saying, they've got more testosterone, they're taller on average.
Well, males do. Males do, at least in most mammals, yeah.
Okay, but the problem is that that's not true like universally.
Yeah, so you can say human males if you want. Human males are typically taller, typically stronger, sure.
So what's another word for human males? Men, which is what I was saying.
Right, but if you're, so there's, I mean, like if you want to use the word man to refer to a human male, you can, but then you will just be very confused when people use it in a different sense.
I promise you I am not confused. So again,
wait, do you concede then that it is not an incorrect definition to distinguish between an adult human male and a man? That's not incorrect?
I mean, those are the same thing.
Oh, so then you will be confused if somebody uses the word man to refer to a different thing.
So, I mean, if you use the word man to refer to a squirrel, yes, I will be confused.
If you use the word man to refer to somebody who is neurophysiologically, psychologically, and socially gendered as a man, would that be confusing to you?
It would be confusing to me if you use it incorrectly.
Okay, so like you just like are just a confused person then, which is fine, I guess.
No.
Like you just have a hard time understanding English as it's used by some people.
No, I mean, if you use words incorrectly, then that's confusing.
Are you a linguistic prescriptivist or a linguistic descriptivist?
I'm just a regular guy. Just a regular guy that uses the language.
Do you know what a prescriptivist or a descriptivist is? I
have no idea.
Okay, so I mean, I suspect you're a prescriptivist. So a prescriptivist is somebody who says that there are right, or is that there is a correct definition for words and an incorrect definition for words, and language should not and cannot change. Anybody who does attempt to change it is simply just being wrong. On the other hand, a descriptivist just says, look, words have meanings in the sense that they are used. So however a person is using a word, if they are using that word in a way that can be understood, and perhaps sufficiently many people use the word in a similar way, then that is a valid definition of the word.
I totally agree with that.
Okay, but so then why are you saying that somebody's using a word wrong if it's being used by plenty of people in that way? If you're a descriptivist, then you say, yeah, that's a totally fine definition.
So the problem is that it doesn't make sense. That's the problem. And it causes bad outcomes. So for example,
are we about to do anti-science again? Go ahead.
No. I've been only scientific this whole time. I've mentioned
height. Except you did lie about your credentials, and you're also going against the scientific consensus regarding neurophysiology. So
I totally am not. I am the only one that
I told you what the consensus was, and you said I disagree. So yeah, you are. You said it. You did it yourself.
Yes, but what I disagreed with, I said personality can cover what gender said, their definition of gender. But I just want to quickly point out, I am the one that said, like, I brought up bone structure, I brought up muscle mass.
Well, you actually didn't bring up bone structure. You did bring up muscle mass, though. You may have thought of bone structure, but you didn't mention it.
I brought up height. These are
all sex characteristics. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
They're not neurophysiological characteristics.
So the problem is
they're not social characteristics or psychological characteristics.
So when you start saying that, a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man, that's how you have men going into women's locker rooms, men beating up women in their sports. So that's I'm arguing against a problem that we're facing in society. And that's how you end up with men in women's prisons. So that's why
I wouldn't say that they are men.
Okay, you have big, very strong things beating up much smaller.
You can use the word people to describe trans people, right?
Yes. So you've got very big people that are much stronger than the other people in their weight
and you know where else you can find strong people that are much stronger than the other people around them? Gyms.
I mean, yes. But wait, so do you not believe we should have men's and women's sports at all?
Wait. do I not believe that we shouldn't have men and women's sport?
Yeah. Should we just abolish the?
Are you asking whether or not men should be in women's sports? I don't think that men should be in women's sports. I also don't think that there are any men in women's sports, for that matter. So
wait, why shouldn't there be? So like, wait, should I be able to go box a female or no?
Oh, if we're talking about male and female, are we talking about male and female or men and women?
Men and women.
Okay, well, yeah, we can have men's sports, which is for men. We can have women's sports, which is for women, and that's fine.
So do you think I should be able to go like beat up a woman who's much smaller and weaker than me?
I mean, so to be clear, like if two people consent to a fight, like fine, I guess, right? Like if you want to have a duel with some woman, I guess you can.
What if she's like,
I would
no,
hope that
please.
you would ask them first, like.
Wait, what if she's
otherwise,
like, no,
you're just doing like
sport.
assault.
What if she's like, I want my own category because like you're way stronger than me, and I'm
Then
like,
you can
too
have
bad.
then you
I
can
wanna
have
be-
weight categories, which we already have in boxing.
Yeah, okay, but let's say muscle mass. You know, there's people that are the same weight, but one side is way more muscle mass and they're way stronger. Do you think maybe the weaker?
Yeah,
kind...
that happens sometimes with normal human variation.
Dude, I mean, what are you? Just listen to yourself, man.
Wait, so do you think that there are not women who could beat you up?
I think there are women that could beat me up. Absolutely.
Okay, so could they beat up other women?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's your point?
My point
there
is
are going
that
to be some people. There are going to be some men who are way stronger than other men. There are going to be
my
some women
point
who are way
is
stronger
that
than other
there's
women.
My point is that there's men that could beat those women up.
There are men
That's
who
my
can
point.
beat. Yes, there are men who can beat women up. There are women who can beat men up. I agree.
So I'm just curious, like you said that you want women and men to have like you want men's and women's sports. I'm just curious why.
Like, I mean,
there's plenty of women that can beat up men.
I don't mind. Like, look, if women want women's sports and men want men's sports, like I don't care. They can have that.
But like, wait, why? Well, why shouldn't women and men's boxing be the same thing? Why should there be two distinct categories?
Look, it's like these are arbitrary social constructions. If people want to have, if people, please let me finish. If people want to have, what is it called? Not gender neutral. Like what's the word for like when like if people want to have like unisex sports, you can do that. Co-ed sports, that's the word. But people don't want to do that, so we don't, and that's fine.
Why do you think? Wait, can I ask you a question? Why do you think women want their own boxing league and not have to fight against men? Like, if you had to guess.
Oh, my guess is because women like to interact with other women and fight with other women more than fight with men. Probably because most men are going to be able to beat most women. At least when we're talking about boxers, right? Like a woman boxer could probably beat me up, right? Because I'm not a boxer.
Yeah. So let's talk about boxers. Yeah.
So most male boxers in particular will be able to beat up most female boxers, and most men are males, and most women are females, right?
Great. So, can you just say that one more time for everyone?
Just overall, in general, most men boxers would be able to beat up most women boxers.
And so that's why women want their own sports, yes?
Yeah, generally, yeah.
So
I don't actually know if that's the original reason, but that's a totally fine justification.
So do you think it's all right if men decide, well, we're going to bypass these boundaries and go beat you up in your own sport?
So are they transitioning? If they're transitioning,
no.
Or are they just men being men?
Just men being men. They just go beat up women in their own sport. They're like,
they
we're
don't
going to
have
bypass
to. Women don't have to allow that. That's fine. The people who run the organizations don't have to allow that.
You think it's a good thing or a bad thing that happens?
A good thing or a bad thing that like I don't think it has moral traits. This is like it's literally just like an organization making organizational traits. Organizational.
No, I'm just going to one more time. You don't think it has moral traits if a man bypasses women's boundaries?
No, I don't think that the organization who organizes these leagues, I don't think that they're making a moral decision. I don't think that they're making like some decision that has moral weight.
You don't think it's bad if they make the decision to allow men to go do that?
I mean, presumably, if they made that decision, then the people who don't want to fight men would just not partake, right?
So
And
what
if they
if,
wanted,
so,
if they wanted to form a league where there wouldn't be men involved, they could go form one.
so then let's say that this league is a very major league, and
Mhm.
they allow men to go fight women.
Mhm.
Do you think all the women should just drop out, just not have a chance to do
Yeah,
their sport?
and look, if they all didn't want to do that, they could just go form their own league. Like I
And
would
you don't think
imagine that
this-
they would get. I would imagine that the league that did that would probably get backlash, and then whoever was in charge of it would probably get
Wait.
backlash from the competitors, and whoever was in charge of it would probably get deposed, and then they would put in charge somebody that they all wanted to lead the organization.
You think if an organization allowed men to go do that, there would be backlash?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. What if those men now say that they're women, but they're still men?
Well, I don't think that you can be a man and a woman. I think that these are
No, they
distinct
say they're women,
categories.
but they're men. They
So
say
are they
they're
lying or are they telling the truth?
Oh, you don't know, but they just say that they're women.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, you could. I mean, it depends on what the organization wants to do, right? If the organization wants to just be like, trusting them is good enough, they could do that. And if people didn't like that, they could change the organization. They could reorganize. If they wanted to say, okay, well, actually, we're more interested in matching people who are biologically similar, so we're going to start running tests. And if they wanted to do that and people liked that or people didn't like that, they could either stick with it or they could, again, reorganize.
So, one more time, you think there's no moral problems?
No, I don't think that organizing of sports leagues is a moral question.
Especially even if men enter women's sports and beat them up.
No, I don't. You could say that people fighting against somebody unconsensually is immoral. I would agree with that.
Well, yeah, no.
But I imagine everybody stepping into the ring has consented to fight. So I don't think that there's any moral questions involved here.
Okay, so do you think there's some people that disagree with you?
Maybe. I think they're wrong.
So why? Well, why would they? Why would they? Why, like, what do you think? Maybe are some reasons that someone would disagree with you on
Probably chauvinism is my guess.
that. Try again.
No, I think that's what it is.
So what would you say to someone who's like, hey, I think it's wrong if like men go into women's sports and they're much stronger than them, much like faster, more athletic, more muscle mass, stronger bones, and you just like destroy them? Like, why do you think some people would have a problem with that?
Well, they might not want an organization with men in it, but that wouldn't be a moral issue.
Yeah. So let's say that they think it's a moral issue. They think, hey, I think it is actively bad.
They'd be incorrect because everybody who steps into the ring has consented, right?
Well, I mean, if they want to play their sport, they have to, right?
No, they don't. There's no obligation to participate in a particular organization.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they can just give up and just stop playing their sport. So,
or if their view that they don't want to compete against men, if their view is that they don't want to compete against men, and that's a popular enough view, they could form their own organization. Or they could, backlash against the people who are doing that. They could, speak out and suggest change.
So then your options are, well, if you've got a problem with that, either fight the man or just drop out and go, start your own sport league.
Yes, that is the option to solving organizational problems always. That's always the solution to dealing with organizational problems. Yeah.
Do you see any problems with that?
Do I see any problems with the way that we solve organizational issues being changing the organization or starting your own? No, I don't see a problem with that. That's how organizations work.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But you don't have any problem with men who even, you don't know if they're women or not, but they say that they're women. They go into women's boxing leagues and other sports and beat up women and beat women, and the women are forced to either play or just drop out. No problem with that, correct?
Or change the system, which they could do if it was a popular enough view. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, they could change the system from within, right? Like they could push the people who are on the board to change the decision maker, whatever that might involve.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, this is an organizational problem. If enough people don't like these ideas, the organization will change. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I have no further questions, I guess. I think.
So do you want? So how about we can continue sort of on this point. Do you find it interesting that you didn't bring up a single scientific point to make any of your claims, and yet you claim to be pro-science, despite disagreeing with the scientific consensus on gender and sex?
So
You brought up emotional, or you attempted to bring up emotional gotchas in an attempt to make it seem like, oh, you know, you're in favor of men beating up women, when like really that's completely unrelated to the topic.
Is like muscle mass not scientific? That has nothing to do with science. Muscle mass, bone density.
Nobody ever said that it didn't.
Oh, I mean, you said that I didn't bring up any science, so I think
no. The points that you were defending were emotional and rhetorical points, not scientific points.
Well, absolutely not. I mean, they're moral points. So I use science to guide my morals.
Sorry,
so
how did you invoke science to guide your morals here?
So I invoked science by looking at muscle mass and bone density, height, weightlifting numbers. So I look at facts and then I draw conclusions from those facts.
So what you're telling me is that you looked at physiological traits of what category of people?
So I took a look at, so let's just say I'm an alien.
I say there's a question. What category of people?
I'm answering it. I'm answering
what category of people?
And
you shouldn't have to say, let's pretend I'm an alien to answer which category of people you're referring to.
I am. Just trust.
It sounds like a dodge, but go ahead.
No, I promise you. Let's say I'm an alien and I come to Earth and I notice there's generally two kinds of humans. Generally, there's one that makes babies and there's generally one that, you know, helps the other make babies. There's one with a V.
Sure, you would by observing human behavior, you'd find that there are generally two opposing, or not even opposing, two modes of human existence. Sure.
One of those is very tall and strong and has big bones, and the other is not as much. They're weaker, they're shorter, they're not as fast, they can't lift as much.
Yeah, you'd find sexual dimorphism. Yeah.
Right. And then I noticed that they've got sport leagues where they can fight. And they've got two distinct categories. The strong ones fight the strong ones. The weaker ones fight the weaker ones.
Sure.
And then I noticed that there's some of the strong ones going and beating the ones and the weaker ones.
So how do you tell if they're one of the stronger ones? What are you doing to evaluate this as an alien? Are you looking at their height? Are you looking at their muscle mass? Are you looking at what are you doing?
I look at their biology.
You're looking in their pants? What if they've had bottom surgery?
So I can still look at other things. I can look at their DNA.
You're looking at their DNA? Can you look at their hormones?
Yeah, I can look at their hormones.
So what if their hormones match the people that they're fighting?
Well, then I can look at other things.
So then what would you look at? Would you look at their hormones or would you look at their DNA? Which would be more influential on whether they should be fighting each other?
So I think DNA is more influential.
I think that you would be mistaken, at least as far as muscle mass is concerned.
I mean, DNA is what guides hormones generally, and those hormones
medicine can override that, right?
Right, up to a certain point.
No, I mean, so you can just put like testosterone blockers, and then it doesn't matter what your DNA is. You're not going to have testosterone in your body.
Now you're getting unscientific, because I mean, if I have normal biology for the first 18 years of my life as a male, and then
I'm talking about muscle mass, by the way.
Yeah. And it's not like it's going to undo my first 18 years of acquiring muscle and bones.
Oh, it will. Yeah, it will.
It does not.
It definitely will.
It does not.
Do you want me to I can go find a study talking about the degradation of muscle mass after somebody starts hormone replacement?
I think this is the first time that we've actually disagreed based on actual scientific facts.
Okay, so to be clear, so let's just see if we can find this. We're just going to look for the impact of, I think here we go. The impact of gender-affirming hormone therapy on physical performance. Let's see what this says. This is just the evidence synthesis. It's at the beginning of the paper. I'll just read it really quickly. I haven't read this article, by the way, so let's see what it says. Maybe it'll prove you right.
Well, I mean, wait, if you haven't read it, then why are you
Because it's called being honest. Maybe this will prove you right. We'll see. But it is highly cited. It was cited by, dozens of people.
I just think it's weird that you're going to use evidence that you have not read.
Well, no. So, I mean, we're going to read it together, right? That's the whole business. So let's read the evidence synthesis. So existing literature comprises cross-sectional or small uncontrolled longitudinal studies of short duration. In non-athletic trans men starting testosterone therapy, within 1 year, muscle mass and strength increase. And by 3 years, physical performance, push-ups, sit-ups, runtime, improved to the level of cisgender men. In non-athletic trans women, feminizing hormone therapy increased fat mass by approximately 30% and decreased muscle mass by approximately 5% after 12 months and steadily declined beyond 3 years. While absolute lean mass remains higher in trans women, relative percentage lean mass and fat mass and muscle strength corrected for lean mass, hemoglobin, and VO2 peak corrected for weight was no different to cisgender women. After 2 years of gender-affirming hormone therapy, no advantage was observed for physical performance measured by running time in trans women. By 4 years, there was no advantage in sit-ups. While push-up performance declined in trans women, a statistical advantage remained relative to cisgendered women. So what do you make of that evidence synthesis?
I mean, I can't deny any of what you just said. If like you just read that,
Okay.
I have to agree with you then. But I mean, I just want to like, learn more. Like I want to look at more studies. I don't want to just like believe that one study. I have no idea how they collected any of their data.
So should we look at another one?
I mean, I don't want you to just like read headlines of studies.
I'm not reading headlines. I'm reading results. I'm reading the results as synthesized by the study authors.
I mean, right, but like there's like a lot more that goes into like understanding a study. Like there's like problems with studies all the time.
So here's the next one that I just found from 2021.
No, hold on. What you're doing
24
is you're just
studies were identified.
I
literally am just picking the top ones that are popping up, and I literally
I haven't read any of them. You don't understand.
We're reading them right now. We're reading them right now. We are reading the results. We're reading the results as summarized by the authors.
I know, but you have to understand a study before you actually just read the results.
Are you like an endocrinologist? Are you capable of like doing the statistical analysis and checking if their data was correct?
I mean, I cannot personally do statistical analysis, but I can read studies and I can like interpret them.
Look, there's your mistake. So the point is, reading the abstract or reading the results section of a paper is going to more accurately summarize the results of the paper than anybody who's not an expert would by reading the paper themselves.
I mean, I totally agree. I fully agree.
So that's why I'm reading the abstract, and I'm not worrying about how statistically significant their data was and how many, like, I'm just reading their results as they found them. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, the problem is, like, I don't know if these studies are flawed or not.
You're not equipped to evaluate that. I'm sorry, my guy.
I promise you I am.
I promise you you're not.
Yeah. No. I swear I am. I work in healthcare.
Question. Are you capable of evaluating a study of calculating the rest mass of a proton from first principles using quantum chromodynamics? Are you capable of evaluating whether that's correct?
No.
Why not?
No, that I'm not. Because I don't know anything about that.
Okay. Do you know anything about endocrinology?
I mean, I know some things.
What do you know about endocrinology?
I mean, I know that, the pancreas helps make insulin. I know it's also produced in the liver. I know A1C of over 6.5 is considered diabetic. I know fasting plasma sugars, if you're diabetic, should be between 80 and 130. I know random plasma glucose shouldn't be above 200. I know there's lots of insulin. There's GLPs. There's Ozempic, Mounjaro that can be given for endocrinology problems regarding diabetes.
Yeah, so it sounds like you know a decent amount about diabetes.
Yeah.
Okay. How much do you know about testosterone? How much do you know about estrogen? How much do you know about androgen receptors? How much do you know about the various hormone regulating processes that exist in the human body?
I mean, I know an okay amount. I know there's like two phases.
Do you think you know enough to be able to determine whether or not, people who spent their whole life studying this actually made mistakes?
What I can do is I can read a study and see if there's flaws in the study.
How would you establish whether there's a flaw?
Because oftentimes the study authors themselves write in the limitation sections, there's flaws with this study. I can look at the sample size.
Okay, so you can look at the limitations. You're right. You can look at the limitation sections. That's fine.
Error.
You can look at their limitations sections. Sure.
I can look at the hazard ratio. I can look at the odds ratio, absolute risk, relative risk ratio. There's lots of things that you can look at. And you can't just throw out studies because I don't know anything about the actual data of the study.
Sorry. I mean, you could. So then why don't you go look it up? You can go read the studies and then come back. But I'm just going to read the results section for this one because it's it's more recent, right?
Okay,
so
sure.
This is a systematic review. So this is a review. It's a meta-analysis, not an independent study itself. So they say 24 studies. Yeah, it's a meta-analysis, which is a fine thing to do.
Well, that's fine, but you said it's a systematic review, which are two different things.
A systematic review is a type of meta-analysis.
I
Or
don't.
rather, sorry, a meta-analysis is a type of review.
Okay.
I mean,
that
a review is referring to like a review of the existing literature and analyzing it in some way, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, so they say 24 studies were identified and reviewed. Trans women experienced significant decreases in all parameters measured with different time courses noted. After 4 months of hormone therapy, trans women have HGB and HCT levels equivalent to those of cisgender women. After 12 months of hormone therapy, significant decreases in measures of strength, LBM, that's lean body mass, and muscle area are observed. The effects of longer duration therapy, 36 months, in eliciting further decrements in these measures are unclear due to paucity of data. Notwithstanding, values for strength, LBM, and muscle area in trans women remain above those of cisgender women even after 36 months of hormone therapy. So that's interesting, right?
I mean, it's absolutely interesting. I don't deny the results of that. Like, I cannot possibly deny the results of that. I just wish I knew more about the actual study because I don't know. So go read them. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I will.
So rather than just saying, oh, well, we disagree on the science, why don't you just say, oh, well, I don't know. Why do you make the claim if you haven't read the studies?
So my claim comes from observing history.
Okay, so it's not based on science then?
Well, it's not based on a study that, the study you read.
It's not based on any studies, is it?
Well, I mean, I've looked at some studies in the past, and I don't, that's what I'm referencing and what I'm observing in reality.
Can you list them or name them?
I mean, I can try to go find some for you right now. Yeah, like you just did.
The ones that you've read, though, which you claim to have read, right?
Yes, I've read them in the past. Analyzed. I don't know the name of the study off the top of my head, but I've looked at stuff. And I've looked at history. What have you looked at? Okay, I can go find it for you right now.
Oh, so go find me a study that you've actually read.
Okay, I don't know which one I read.
You wouldn't be able to find it?
I mean, I've read multiple articles throughout the last 5 years. I don't know the name of every single one.
You know how sus that looks, right?
I mean, I don't think it looks sus. I don't think everyone remembers every single thing, the name of every single thing they've ever read.
If this is something that you are willing to debate about, one would think that you would remember your sources.
I mean, I know what I'm looking at. I can look at the current stats. I can look at current muscle tone. I can look at bone density. Like, I can look at objective facts.
Where are your sources for these? Where are your sources for where you're getting these numbers?
The numbers for like just bone density and testosterone,
yeah,
and things like that.
Yeah, and trans women, for example.
Sure, yeah, you can look at like Mayo Clinic. You can look at DePiro textbook. There's like Cat Song's like medical guide.
I'll look up Mayo Clinic. What specifically should I look for Mayo Clinic for bone density or testosterone levels in trans women?
Yeah, I mean, so you can just look at the differences in muscle mass between men and women.
Differences in? Oh well, wait a minute. Are we talking about trans women, or are we talking about like?
Just regular men and women. Let's just focus on men and women.
Well, we agree that typically men and typically women will have sexually dimorphic things because typically men are males and typically women are females.
Okay.
The question was about trans women, right? Was about whether or not hormones. The question was whether or not hormones are the controlling factor for muscle mass, or DNA was. That was the question. That's why we started looking up studies. And you said, "Oh, this is the first thing that we disagree on scientifically," and so we looked it up.
Yeah.
And we saw that actually, indeed, the hormone replacement therapy is what is the thing that's responsible for the testosterone.
We see that there is a study that believes that, but we don't know anything about it.
When a study, so to be clear, would you say the same thing if the study disagreed with you?
Absolutely.
Or agreed with you?
Yes. Right now, I'm sure I can go find you studies that say, hey, look, this man is stronger than this woman, even though he's on estrogen. But that's like, you can't just pick random studies. There's studies that prove.
I didn't pick random studies. The studies I brought up have been cited dozens of times.
Right, so that's irrelevant.
So that's not relevant. That's like a good measure of how like influential the study is.
No, I mean, I agree with you. There's plenty of bad studies that also get cited. So that's the problem.
That's not really true. That's like not really true.
What's your credentials for that statement?
I have a PhD in physics, and I'm cited.
Okay, all right. You're right.
Like generally, people cite good things. People disregard bad things that have poor methodologies.
I mean, no, I agree with that. But the problem is that bad things can also get cited.
Are you
So
saying that
let's-
it's like physically possible for bad things to be cited?
I mean, of course, and it happens.
Well, the claim is not that that it happens. The claim is that it happened in these two particular cases.
So
Because
that's not my
both
claim.
of these studies have dozens of citations.
Right. So I mean,
And so you're claiming
mean-
actually it's just a coincidence because like these things are studied or are cited so many times, but it's just a coincidence. They're actually bad. They're not good.
So the problem is that you can't just look at the citation number and determine how the quality of a study. You have to actually read the study.
It's a decent measure.
No, you have to read the study. You can't just throw out studies without reading them.
Well, what you can do if you're not an expert is you can read the abstract, you can read the results section. That will generally give you a good idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
And neither of us
I
are
agree with
experts, so that's why I read the abstract. That's why I read the results sections.
Okay, you read the results sections.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we do this? I can go find some studies right now that'll prove my point. And then I can come up another day and I'll be like, hey man, we had this conversation the other day. I found 5 studies that support my claim.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can say, okay, here are my studies that support mine. And then we can discuss.
But neither of us are like sports medicine doctors. Neither of us are endocrinologists.
Yeah, but like we can read.
So what we should do is we should appeal to the people who are those things, right?
I mean, no.
They're more so just as a quick question. So if you take for any random claim about say hormones, who's more likely to be right, you or an endocrinologist?
If it's a random claim, an endocrinologist is more likely to be right.
Okay. When it comes to evaluating a random claim, the truth of a random claim, who's more likely to be right, you or an endocrinologist?
Definitely an endocrinologist.
Okay. And so given that you don't have any experience in endocrinology, any like serious academic clinical experience, right? It sounds like you're diabetic, which, sorry to hear that.
I'm not.
Well, or at least you know quite a bit about insulin. But anyway, given that you're not an expert on endocrinology, you're not an expert on, sports medicine, the claims are essentially random claims to you. They could just, like you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between this number being, like, if it was microliters per gram or if it was nanoliters per gram. If you saw one of the numbers, you wouldn't know which it should be, right?
No, yeah, you're totally right.
So when evaluating a claim in a study, like, oh, we measured this to be 5 microliters per gram, you have no way of evaluating whether that's actually like a reasonable claim, whether that's well-founded.
I mean, unless I do reading, like I can teach myself things.
You can. It's called getting a degree in endocrinology.
Well, no. I mean, one way, yes. But I think, there's plenty of people that can be good at things without a degree. And there's plenty of things that can be better than people with degrees.
To be clear, it's possible. It hardly ever happens.
I disagree with that.
So maybe, I mean, okay, let me back up. That's a crazy claim. How often do you think it is the case that? How often do you think it is the case that like, lay people know as much or more about some particular field of study than the people who got their PhDs in that field of study?
So I think it depends on just who you're talking about. If it's just a random lay person, then the chances
I'm just asking how many total.
Oh, so I think very, very few. I don't deny that.
So then why'd you disagree with me just a second ago?
I disagree with you because let's say I
said very, very few people are capable of doing that, or very few people do that, are knowledgeable in fields outside their own expertise.
Okay, no, I do agree with you then.
Okay.
But
are you one of those people? Because statistically, you're not.
No, like if you're talking about physics, I definitely don't know anything.
No, about like endocrinology, for example.
Oh, no. Whoever an endocrinologist will definitely know more about me than endocrinology. However, there's people with, let's say, economics degrees. So get a degree in economics, and there's people that are just interested in economics and they read books on it in their own time. They will know more about economics than someone with an economics degree.
Maybe. That doesn't happen often. Not at all. But anyway, we're not talking about economics. We're talking about endocrinology.
Yeah,
and
so I mean,
look, here's the point. The point is that so given a study, like a study on endocrinology, on hormones, right? If I handed the study to you and I handed the study to an endocrinologist would be more likely to be able to effectively and correctly evaluate that study than you would be able to, right?
I mean, yes, of course.
Okay, now, if we instead hand that study to all of the endocrinologists in the world, their consensus would be more likely to be correct about that study than yours would, right?
Of course, yeah.
So why would we ever trust you to individually evaluate it rather than just listen to what the endocrinologists say?
So I think the problem with that is like, then you're turning to an appeal on authority. Then
No,
like,
it's an appeal to expertise. Those are different
right,
things.
so, sure.
Appeals to expertise are good things.
I actually don't know if they're always good things. I think they're generally good things.
It is a good way of doing epistemology.
I think it's fine. I think it is a good way, but I don't think it's always a good way.
Just on statistical grounds, I would trust the field I would trust the consensus of endocrinologists about endocrinology 1 billion times to 1 against trusting you.
So, I mean, that's fine.
And you should be the same way.
No, I totally am not. Because
then
I think...
that's irrational, right?
I don't think it's irrational.
Like statistically, it is irrational.
Oh, I mean, statistically speaking, I'm more likely to be incorrect.
Yeah.
However, what about like, let's say
believing yourself then over the consensus is irrational.
No.
Unless your goal is to be incorrect, then it's rational.
No, because let's say there's a 20% chance I'm right and an 80% chance they're right.
Except it's not 20 to 80, right?
Right. I mean, I'm not saying
it's not. It's like 1 billion to 1.
It's definitely not 1 billion to 1. The problem is, if you believe the experts every single time, you'll be wrong 20% of the time.
No, you
won't.
If
you try to, of course.
Wait, hold on. That's insane.
So I mean, this is just a random number.
Just to be clear, you think that the expert consensus on something gets something wrong 1 out of 5 times?
No, that was just a random number I picked.
Okay.
So let's say that let's say we have some endocrinology expert who's awesome at endocrinology, and he says, you know what, men can be women, women can be men. Let's say he says that. And let's say this endocrinologist
To be clear, that's not what an endocrinologist would say, but it's a cool straw man, but go ahead.
Sure, but let me, we're just like speaking of hypotheticals. And he has a 10% chance of being wrong. So let's say like through all of his work, 90% of the things he said has been correct, 10% has been incorrect. So if you just trust him 100% of the time, you will be incorrect 10% of the time. However, if you trust him majority of the time, but you also like back it up with your own research, what you think, you can boost those odds. You agree with him when you believe he's right. Yeah. And then when you think he's wrong.
Hold on. So how often do you... So I would put you at a 50-50 shot, right? Maybe 40-60 if you're lucky of being right. So
okay.
If you compare your analysis to their analysis and you disagree, what conclusion do you come to?
I come to that men can't be women, women can't be men.
I'm just talking in generality. Let's say that you have the endocrinologist consensus. They say one thing. They say that testosterone, I don't know. They say that testosterone causes pancreatic cancer. And then you go and you look and you're like, oh, well, I think the data says testosterone does not cause pancreatic cancer. Right?
Yeah.
So let's say that those are the two claims. So,
sure.
And let's say that you have a 40-60, maybe you have a 60% chance of being right and a 40% chance of being wrong, say, right? Maybe you're slightly better than 50-50. And let's say that they have a 99% chance of being right. Now, if you come to the conclusion that differs from theirs, who do you believe? Do you believe your own conclusion or their conclusion?
Well, I believe the data. So I read the data.
So the data is the same for both of you. The question is
yeah.
Whose interpretation do you trust more? Your interpretation or their interpretation?
I mean, hopefully we agree.
No, but you don't agree. In this hypothetical, you don't agree.
If we don't agree, then I will always trust myself.
Okay, so in this hypothetical, you had a 40% chance of just being wildly wrong. 40% chance of getting it wrong.
Well, if it's completely random, then I would.
Well, yeah. I mean, I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I said, yeah, maybe you can analyze the data, and you're slightly better than random chance at getting it, or not even slightly. It's pretty significantly better than random chance at like correctly analyzing the data.
So if it's completely random, I'm going.
It's not completely random. There's a 40. It's not 50-50. There's a 40% chance that you're getting it wrong. just because you incorrectly analyze the data, right?
Sure. Then I will go with the expert 100% of the time.
Okay, but so then what do you think, like, given something that you're not an expert on, what do you think the probability is that you're incorrectly analyzing the data?
So, I mean, again, if it's completely random and I have a 40% chance of getting it wrong, then I should believe the expert.
But it seems like you disagree that it's not actually 40%, that it's far lower. So
yeah.
So what do you think your probability of getting the data analysis wrong is in a field that you're not familiar with?
I mean, if I'm not familiar with it at all, then it's quite high. But if I like read about
let's say that you read for a week, what do you think that your probability of getting the conclusion correct is?
I mean, there's so many variables, I cannot possibly reduce this to a single number.
Funny, you were trying to do that just a minute ago.
I have wait. When we're in some hypothetical world and we're using like made up numbers to illustrate a point, yeah, we were doing that. But like now, if we're trying to like apply this realistically,
let's give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that you're right 90% of the time when you analyze the data. That's a pretty good benefit of the doubt, right?
So here's my issue. My issue is that maybe some experts out there, they say, okay, men can become women, women can become men. There's other experts who are actual endocrinologists. They do study this thing. They disagree with those experts. So we've got multiple experts that are disagreeing.
That's why we use consensus.
Well, I care about who's right, not who more people agree with.
So
I want to know what's right.
We don't know anything about the way that these individuals are coming to their conclusions. All we can say is that they're all experts, and so experts are unlikely to make incorrect, are unlikely to come to incorrect conclusions.
Wait,
right?
Can I say like one thing?
Sure.
So we have experts that disagree. There's some experts that are saying, yeah. And so you're saying, well, more people say this, or at least this organization says this. We don't know, we have no way of knowing what every single endocrinologist thinks or whatever. We have no way of knowing that. We can look at organizations and we say, hey, this.
We can look at polling data of endocrinologists and so on.
I mean, yes, but even that has problems, obviously. Yeah, okay. I mean, come on. You think polls? You think polls is the best way to do things?
To figure out what people's positions are on things? Yeah, of course.
I mean, but yeah, I mean,
you're literally just asking them what's their position.
I mean, of course, but do you think everyone gets included in that? Of course
you don't have to include everyone to get statistically significant results. I
mean, again, I agree with that, but
then why'd you say it?
Because I think polling has flaws. But I agree.
Okay, so you don't know anything about statistics.
Well, no. You disagree that polling has flaws?
As like a concept? No.
Okay. So moving forward then. Wait, you said polling does not have any flaws.
Polling as a concept is fine.
Well, as a concept, but in practice. You think it's
pollsters, they cite their methodologies. They like okay. if you're polling as long as you're like doing unbiased polling, which large polling organizations typically do, and you have a big enough sample size, it's fine.
It's not worth the battle. Fine, you're right. I don't care. So the problem is we have multiple groups of experts that disagree. Okay, and so now instead of just believing whichever side has more people agreeing with them, now the job is to go look at the data for yourself and come up with an opinion for yourself.
No, that's not what you should do. Not if you're being rational. No.
I disagree.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, this is just, we can just use Bayesian analysis to come to the right conclusion here, to come to the most rational conclusion. So all you have to do is just analyze what's the probability. So let's say that it's a 60-40 split amongst endocrinologists, right? All you have to do, and I think that that's way overblowing it, but suppose that it is. All you have to do is say, what's the probability that 40% of the endocrinologists got it right? Or, sorry, what's the probability that 60% of endocrinologists got it wrong and 40% of endocrinologists and you got it right? And what you'll find is that that's statistically way less likely than just the 60% of endocrinologists getting it right, assuming that you impose in your calculations that any given endocrinology is not very likely to get it wrong.
I mean, from a statistical standpoint, if you're just looking at it like that, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
However,
so don't you want to be right as often as possible?
I mean, of course.
So then why don't you just trust what the statistical analysis says you should do?
So, I mean, the problem with that is that if I just believe it every time, I'll be wrong 40% of the time. I'd rather maximize those chances.
Wait, would you rather be wrong 40% of the time or 60% of the time?
I'd rather be right as much as possible.
Yeah, and so the way to be right as much as possible is to just do what the people who are experts in it
Just trust the majority.
or believe what the experts say. Yeah, that is the most efficient way at coming to correct conclusions.
I think that's completely insane. Just always trust the majority. That's your
experts,
final...
not just the majority. The majority
Yeah,
experts.
trust the majority of experts.
Yes.
Like, this is the hill you're willing to unalive on.
Well, no, I mean,
Like,
I wouldn't literally die on it, but like, this isn't a life or death matter, right? But the point still stands. The point still stands. The point still stands that you are more likely to be correct if you trust the expert consensus in any given field. Like, it's just a fact. You are more likely to be correct.
I mean, I agree, but like,
you
can have like your own critical thinking, like read about it, learn about it.
If you want to become an expert in the field, go do it.
I just think it's a very weird take.
It's a scientific take. It's based on a statistical analysis of how likely you are to be correct.
Okay, because you said that. Okay.
Well, no, I mean, you can do the Bayesian analysis, right? Like, you can just do it. You can just do the math.
Critical thinking or read about it or have thoughts.
Oh no, I do that all the time in my field. That is a thing that I do in my field because I'm an expert and I can, like, you know, critically evaluate the papers that are written by my colleagues. I can, you know, create my own analyses, things like this. I can do that all the time. But if it's something that I don't know ass about, if it's something about, like, I don't know, the reproductive life cycles of rabbits, I'm not going to go study rabbits for 10 years. I'm just going to believe what the rabbit biologists say.
So, yeah, no, I agree with you on that. If it's something I don't know anything about...
You don't know anything about, like, hormone replacement therapy, for example.
No, I would disagree with that. So, if you don't know anything...
Have you heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Yes, I have.
Do you think that you are, like, past the point where you think you know more than you actually know? With regards to hormones?
I can only hope. I can only hope not.
Etc.
I can only hope that my, you know, self-awareness is good. What about you? What do you think?
Regarding Dunning-Kruger? With regards to endocrinology, I like to think I don't know anything about it. So that's why I don't try to do the analysis myself. And I just believe what the people who do know something about it say.
So when it comes to something I don't know anything about, I don't
like
know
endocrinology with respect to hormone replacement therapy.
I disagree. But let's just say, like, botany. And some expert says, hey, this flower is great. I'm going to be like, you know what? Fine. That smart person said that flower is great. I'll just agree. But when there's, like, obviously controversial things where lots of people disagree, and then I go and read about it and I see studies that say one thing, I make my own opinion based on what I observe and what I've read. So when I've seen, hey, there's a lot of men beating up women in women's sports, when I see, hey, men have...
So you're just like, common sense says the science is wrong. Is that what you're doing?
What I'm doing is I'm just observing reality. I'm just looking around.
Okay, you're doing common sense is better than scientific data.
Well, I'm just observing. It's just observation. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we agree. You're saying you'd rather trust the anecdotes that you personally experience rather than the scientific analysis, which is fine, I guess, but it's just not a very scientific view.
You know, empiric data is just a million anecdotes, right?
No, data is not the plural of anecdotes. No, it's not.
Yes, empiric data is just lots of anecdotes.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Data is collected in a what is it called? A standardized and uniform way. It is collected in a rigorous way. Anecdotes.
Well, I mean, I agree. There are studies that do things like that, but like, that's what data is. When you have lots of examples of something, that's a data point.
No, it's not just examples. These are, like, data points are different from anecdotes, right? Anecdotes are, yeah, I saw a man beating up a woman, right? Data is for this individual, I collected the surface area of their left bicep, and it was X many centimeters.
Can I just say, like, you know what? I think you're very, very smart. I think you're very patient. I think you're very kind. I just think that we'd like disagree.
I know we do. All right, but I like Bitcoin.
I think you think, yeah.
All right, thanks for being here, bud. All right, we have some super chats to go over. Why can't I pull up the super chats? What is happening? All right, super chats. We have lots of super chats. So, from writer AI Ing, I probably pronounced that wrong. With the $5, as author with a degree in language and history, everything this guy says is wrong. From writer again with the $2, Roman coins were mostly bronze. Fair enough. From John Jackson with the $2, caller is rude, but consider climate change. From Garba Gaiman with the 10 Canuck bucks, a Civ prof taught me that Rome was very stable, called the Pax Romana, Roman peace. Likely primary cause was stealing Egypt's gold. The prosperity slowly dwindled as gold went eastward through trade. That's interesting. 2 Canuck bucks from Style Auto. This is funny. Trump 2025, loser. So Trump wasn't elected. The elections are not in 2025, but you're a Canadian, so I would understand that you don't understand that. From writer again with the $5, the way mediocre white men think they can cosplay as scientists and legit think people believe it. I mean, he did definitely lie about being a neuroscientist. John Jackson with the $5 says that the version of gender you're using doesn't agree with gender theory. Trans, male, female, both have hypermasculine brains. This is not true in the East. What? From Zeding Yaz with the $5, can a biological male who identifies as woman give birth? No, not all women can give birth, it turns out. $5 from Megalag. Please let me finish. Dude, you have been interrupting him. Also, anybody could beat you up. Okay, fair enough. One Big Chump says, every time we get close to discussing real problems, they bring up trans people. That's true. Union busting, global warming, human rights, do those matter at all? That's a fair point. From John Jackson with the $5 again, part 2, conservatism in the East drowns the association between autism, hypermasculine, and autogynephilia, leaving males with feminine traits. I'm pretty sure the autogynephilia stuff has been kind of like thoroughly debunked, but you know, I'm not an endocrinologist. I'm not a sex doctor. $2 from writer at Bitcoin. Is science in your room right now? And then GMAC became a joiner. From 49 at 49, perfect with the $5. This guy just admitted he only looks at the section that talks about flaws and ignores almost everything else. How unbiased. That's fair. Yeah, I don't know. John Jackson is a Petersonian, so. From Fear's interaction with the $10, I have MAGA in-laws, and I love this topic. They're so obsessed with women and gender in the worst ways, though. Thoughts on MAGA's pretty creepy topic? It might be a good topic, but we'd have to talk about creepy things, right? From Boots with the $5, so far he's dead wrong on sex and gender, history, science, linguistics, sociology, psychology, economics, anthropology, and being a decent human. Okay. From Necti with the $5, caller can bet on pseudoscience. I'll put my money on the expert consensus every time. Let's see who goes broke first. That's a fair point. Aaron with the $10, but I just really don't like what the science says, so I'll just stay with my assumption instead. Yeah, look, there is a point to be made that you don't want to just blindly believe what other people tell you to believe. That's like a fair point, and I understand the aversion to that. But if the other side is disagreeing with what like the vast majority of experts say, you better have some really damn good evidence to back that up. From John Jackson, again with the $5, major flaw of the study is the desire of all volunteer participants. They didn't monitor biometrics. I don't know which study you're talking about. And then from Rotkreutz with the $5, I love how he openly admitted he gets his moral values from facts about the world. Where is Hume? Yeah, fair point. Aughts and ises. And we got a $50 donation as well. For some reason, it's not showing up. From One Big Chump with the $50, thank you as always. Same crap as usual. MAGA talks about LGBTQ+ people so much that I can only assume they're obsessed or envious of them. We could be discussing workers' rights, global warming, or their attack on human rights, or their attack on scientific institutions, but they're infatuated with queer folk. Yeah, fair assessment indeed. Right. All right. Oh, and $5 from Grimlock. As always, Grimlock regularly a common supporter of the live. Let's move on to our next guest. Thank you guys so much for being patient while I read through those. We have to acknowledge the people who support the live, of course. One moment. Never mind. All right, let's bring up Kishura. Kishura.
Hello.
Kishura, how's it going?
Hey, man.
Are you MAGA?
I know you, we've DM'd before and whatnot.
Oh, we have? Are you MAGA?
No, not MAGA. The thing is, I vehemently disagree with all of your arguments, but
About
not so
science?
much agree with theirs. Not the science, about why you're drawing these conclusions from the science.
Okay, but that's not the topic
Like,
of discussion, so thanks for being here, Kishara. What's my shirt? My shirt is... What is it? It's an octopus. See? It's an octopus. Bert, how's it going? Bert?
Yo.
Are you MAGA?
Yo.
Is that a
Yeah.
yes? Okay, cool. I have just a few
Yes.
questions. Oh, there's a huge delay. Bert, do you want to disconnect and come back just so that we can fix the delay?
Yeah, you'll let me right back up?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So Bert, if you're still here, like maybe reset your Wi-Fi or something, and then you'll be right back up. All right, let's bring up Bert. Looking handsome today, thank you. Bert, well,
Yeah.
hopefully it's fixed. All right, I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you mind if I ask you 4 questions really quick just to assess where you are, and then we can get into the topic?
Sure.
And like you don't have to elaborate, we can elaborate on them afterwards, just so I can get your beliefs. So first, do you think that humans are the major cause of climate change?
I mean, I couldn't really tell you a definitive yes or no
Okay.
on that one.
Do you think that the vaccines that we give to infants are generally safe and effective?
I don't know about that one either.
Okay. Do you think that humans evolved from non-human ancestors?
I don't know about that one either.
That's fair. And do you think that that neurophysiologists have correctly concluded that gender and sex are useful and distinct categories?
I think that they're one and the same, really. Like,
So
I
you
think
think
that
the neurophysiologists have incorrectly concluded that?
yes.
Okay, great. And then one more final question. Do you think that MAGA is generally pro-science?
I mean, I think they're skeptical of scientists, sure.
Oh, so what distinction are you making between being skeptical of science and being anti-science?
Well, I mean, of course, everyone should be pro-science. I mean, it helps us with so many things in the world, from medications to even like figuring out, like, I don't know, architectural,
Advanced
I don't
warning
know.
systems for earthquakes,
Sure, stuff like that.
advanced
Sonar,
warning systems for
anything.
hurricanes, being able to communicate via these, smartphones, like all that stuff. We agree. So why do you think?
Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
whenever you mandate something such as the C-19 stuff, that's never people become skeptical of it, because it's like, I mean, there's already shady stuff with them getting more money by saying, like, if someone, unalived in a car wreck, but they had COVID, they, unalived due to COVID, so then they get more money towards the hospital. People are skeptical of, like, just these types of sciences, because, I mean, Operation Warp Speed as well, they made the jab so quickly, and you just wanted to, like, you use celebrities' influence to force people to get it.
So
it just, I think that's why people are skeptical of it. Whenever you like try to charge people for it,
being distrustful of conclusions or being distrustful of policy decisions is that's like fine, I guess, if you want to be distrustful of policy decisions. But my question is more about, like, why is it that the Trump administration, which is MAGA, right? Why are they like destroying our scientific institutions, like defunding all of these scientific projects that have been like beneficial to humanity? Why are they, why is it that MAGA people generally tend to think that scientists are like just as likely to be honest as they are to be dishonest? Like why do you think that that's the case if they're not anti-science?
Well, I don't know if it's due to like their lack of support for Israel, because I know that some institutions like were lacking
Like
funding
NASA?
because they weren't. No, I'm just saying, like, I'm talking about colleges. Like, some colleges, I'm pretty sure, could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure because they said they had like anti-Israel protests and all this other stuff, they like stopped getting funding. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But other stuff like
why is
with
NASA
what?
being
Like with
defunded?
transgender? I don't know.
But that's a pretty big deal, right? Like NASA is like some of the best PR the United States has. You don't see people walking around wearing like, you know, the Department of Agriculture shirts. You see people in other countries. You see people in other countries walking around in NASA shirts.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason. It's not just due to him being anti-science, though.
Well, I mean, it definitely seems like it is, because if you look at the proposed budget for 2026, Trump's proposed budget, the exploration section of NASA went up a little bit. The aeronautical section of NASA's budget stayed basically the same, and the science budget got cut in half.
Yeah,
Kind of requires some
couldn't-
sort of explanation, doesn't it? Do you agree with that?
Sure. I mean, I really don't know
Why would
what
did
the
you say sure you
trade-offs
agree with
were.
it?
No, I said sure. We demand like to know what it was, like why his reasoning was for it. I don't know. I mean, I'm not Trump. I don't know why he quit funding that to do other things. I'm not sure. But I
What
don't think
about-
that MAGA as a whole is anti-science.
I mean, surely Trump speaks for MAGA, right?
Yeah, for MAGA, but it's not like the entire right. Sure.
Yeah, I'd never said that. But if you're not MAGA and you're still in the right wing, you're like a never Trumper at that point.
Sure.
And are you a never Trumper?
Well, I don't agree with everything Trump does. I much
you
rather
vote
him
for him?
than Kamala.
Did you vote for him?
Yeah, I
once
much
again?
rather him.
Okay, so then you're not a never
Yeah.
Trumper, right?
Sure.
So there are a few things that the president does. The president signs executive orders, the president signs laws, right? He can enforce other stuff too, but like those are the things, like the big powers that he has in today's society, right? So the executive orders that he signed recently, coming directly from him, include, yeah, we're canceling these scientific grants because of reasons, because of no reason, really. Like, why are scientific grants being cut? And these are things that are decided by Trump, or at least by Trump's lackeys.
I couldn't tell you, dude.
It should
But
be
I don't think
concerning to
that-
you if you like science, though, right?
Yeah, I like science, but I don't think that science is always the route that we should take for just trying to solve all our problems, such as with medications. Like, I think we have a big
Wait, we
problem
shouldn't
with the
use
food
science
industry.
to like
Well, I'll
test our
explain.
medications?
No, I'm telling you, like, I don't think that, like, for example, medications, if you have an ailment, I don't think
Mhm.
that the number one thing that we advocate for in society, which you should do this. I'm just saying, I don't think that this is like the prescription for it. I don't think, like, of course you should get medication for your ailment to, alleviate your symptoms and all this other stuff. But we don't like try to attack the core issue, which is like our food industry is filled with chemicals and all sorts of things that are like making us sick on the daily.
Wait,
So I
but
don't think that like we should prescribe like
how do we determine
science
if
as
those
being
things make us sick?
through science.
Yeah. So we are doing science.
but-
Science is
yeah,
the thing that we're
that-
appealing to solve our problem.
Yeah, but you're missing what I'm saying though. It's like we have a proliferation of these ailments and everyone has so many mental disorders nowadays. Like they've just skyrocketed since 1960 from the chemicals that we've started putting on the
How do you know
plants.
they're from the chemicals?
And well, I mean that's whenever they started spraying all our food with it.
So correlation.
So I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that, but it's like you are what you eat, right? Like that is your main source of energy. So if your energy, like cancer cells grow off of sugar, right? So there are food components just to like cancer. It's like that with a
So,
lot of things.
It looks like pesticides became mainstream in
Dementia.
the 50s. And so you're saying in like the 40s and 50s. And you're saying that mental illness has started going up starting when?
Well, just nowadays, like if you look at the 60-year difference between 1960s and now.
But what about
it's
1970s and
crazy.
now?
I mean, I'm guessing it was on the uptick then too.
So
I mean, social media is
so
due
so
to
why
this
don't
as
why don't we look
well.
at this? Like we can do this together. Why don't we like look at the charts, right? So give me an example of the mental illness that you're referring to.
You can look at bipolar,
Okay.
OCD,
Bipolar disorder,
autism.
diagnosis over time. Let's just look at this.
And a lot of these, and like schizophrenia, schizoaffective, all these can be alleviated through diet.
Hold on. Before we
I'm not saying
continue,
cured, they could be put in
before we
remission.
continue,
Though.
we're just going to look at the diet and see if this is like a true claim that, bipolar disorder has started skyrocketing in the 50s and in the 50s and so.
I said
So,
60s compared to now.
well,
Look
so
up
pesticides
OCD,
started being used in the
schizophrenia.
40s and 50s, right?
Okay, well, I mean, it's not disqualifying what I'm saying. I'm sure they were even lower in the 1940s compared to the 1960s.
I actually can't really find any charts on the abundance of bipolar disorder going back that far.
Look up schizophrenia, OCD, anxiety,
Well,
depression.
So
All
the
these
claim
have.
the claim about bipolar disorder, is that claim founded on anything? Have you seen data on that?
Yeah, I don't know what source it is. And I actually, unfortunately, have to leave in 5 minutes.
Okay.
But I wanted to talk to you.
Well, why don't we look up OCD diagnosis? OCD rate over time.
And people try to argue that it's like the protocol is different with how they like diagnose it or like.
Well, I mean, it is, right? That's a separate point.
Well, of course it is.
I also
but
just don't think that this is like particularly true that like it started skyrocketing in the 60s.
Well, I never said it skyrocketed in the 60s.
You said
I'm saying that's whenever we changed
in the 60s, but I'm not seeing any data
compared to now.
Yes, no, it could have been flat between the 60s and 70s, and maybe it started rising in the 80s, for example. And then there would be no correlation.
Well, I mean, that's whenever you would start seeing effects of long-term use.
Oh, so now you start seeing the effects in the 80s, not the 60s.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have to take hold. I mean, they have to take hold over time, right?
So then
like a lot of these things that they've come out
to the increase starting in the 60s is wrong.
Well, no, I'm talking about from the 60s to now. I mean, it shouldn't really be hard to find. I don't know why it's hard for you to find this.
Like for OCD, it is spectacularly hard to find.
Okay, well, look up any other thing. They've recently come out to find that a lot of these things are metabolically, like metabolic disorders.
When you say they, who's they?
Scientists.
Can you refer me to a particular study or particular organizations that have come to that conclusion?
Give you scientists that have wrote books on it.
Well, I don't care about books.
Chris Palmer.
I generally care about studies.
Well, I mean, he has a bunch of studies in the book in the back. He has work cited in it.
Okay, so I haven't found anything on OCD prevalence. This is
spectacularly
hard to find. How about schizophrenia? We can look up schizophrenia.
Sure, schizophrenia.
That one might.
A lot of these things are metabolic disorders. So what it's exacerbating them is the food that we eat. That's why like ketogenic diets help epilepsy. Ketogenic diets help with schizophrenia,
I don't actually know if that's still
bipolar.
True.
It is true.
It was definitely believed to be true in like the 70s. Okay, so I just found something. Maybe this will help. It's not exactly what we want, but this is recorded incidence per 100,000 of schizophrenia and bipolar. Now, this only is from 2000 to 2010, but presumably under your view, it should have been going up, right? Between 2000 and 2010?
Yeah, I assume so.
Schizophrenia went down between 2000 and 2010?
Wait, we're talking about 1960s compared to now. I said 60s compared to now.
Why not talk about like 1920 compared to now, or like 1830 compared to now? Why 1960?
Because that's whenever they started putting stuff in the food.
No, but they started doing that in the 40s and 50s.
Okay, 40s and 50s compared to now, if you want to be accurate.
Okay. I'm still looking for any data that goes back more than 20 years, but
I mean, you just see this with like ADHD as well. The food coloring in our foods, the cereals, they all have so many bad effects on us.
That actually show causation there, or is it just like kind of correlative?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
many scientists talk about this though.
So okay, that's not a. I can't find any data on this. Okay, hold on. Prevalence of schizophrenia among Australian males. Does this count?
Australian males?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Australia is like quote unquote the West, right?
Sure. But I mean, that's such a specific.
This is according to Bert.
I don't know if this is.
So
yeah, I don't know.
So but, at least according to this, it seems like the rate of schizophrenia. This is starting from people who are born in, the 40s, going all the way up to the 90s. People born in the 90s. It looks like let me look at the source. the source data just so then I can get a whole thing. It looks like that there's not really like a stark increase in the rate of schizophrenia across years, across birth years, for example.
Yeah. I guess I'll have to get
now. What is true is that
Yeah.
prevalence. Oh no,
Yeah,
that's cannabis usage.
I'd have to get you sources beforehand because I actually have to go to work in like 1 minute.
Okay. that's fine.
Mainly, what I'm trying to say is we use science, of course, to help people with their stuff, but it's not something that we should just run to solve all our problems. We have to attack things at the root, not
And
just
the way that we
attack
figure out the root is
symptoms.
by using science, right?
Yeah, of course, but nowadays, like us and New Zealand are the only two countries that like use advertisements for medications, right? Like we and New Zealand are the only
that's crazy
ones.
to me. But that's a policy thing. That's like a deregulation thing, which we should be regulating pharmaceutical companies more than that. But who doesn't want to regulate pharmaceutical companies?
I don't know. All I'm saying is like
It's the right wing. That's who.
I think more natural approaches, like such as our diet, going back to vegetables and like whole foods, not like this type of stuff, will solve a lot of our problems. Because I mean, it makes
data?
you. I mean, it noticeably. I mean, you can just even use this anecdotally. Like, do you feel different whenever you eat like a McDonald's cheeseburger compared to like a steak and vegetables?
I feel different whenever I eat a cheeseburger. Period. And by different, I mean happy.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's you got a lot of inflammation going on in you whenever that happens. I'm sure you would feel much better if you ate like whole foods.
I eat whole foods all the time.
So basically,
too.
okay. Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we just make science like the go-to thing,
It should
yet
be.
we still live
You're
these
citing
destructive lifestyle. Yeah, I know, but
you're
we
citing
shouldn't
scientific
live
stuff,
these.
right?
Sure. All I'm saying is we shouldn't run to these things to solve all our problems when there's things at the root. We don't need to
How do we
look at
figure
a
out what's
brand.
at the root besides doing science? What do we do?
Well, of course, but dude, I don't think you understand what I'm saying.
No, I don't.
We disregard using naturalistic approaches to our everyday life, and we just think that they'll solve all our problems.
The only reason we should use naturalistic approaches is if we can prove they
when
work.
each medication has its own. Well, real quick, each medication has multiple side effects.
Sure.
And then
Yeah.
you have to get on another medication after getting on one medication. So
I mean,
now
that's
you're on
not
two
really true.
medications, and then those two. Well, I mean, they all
That's
have.
not. That's not
if
like.
you're on a
it's just not true that like everybody who goes on one medication has to be on more than one medication to deal
Well,
with side
I'm not
effects.
saying
It's just
everyone.
not true.
But it is like if you're on a medication for your whole life,
Which I have been,
like for
at least since I was very young.
multiple years.
Yep, I've been
Yeah,
on the
for
same
like
medication
20
since I was 14.
Okay.
That's the only
well,
medication I'm on.
And then all these other things. Damn, dude, I really got to go. I'm gonna follow
Alright.
you, and we can continue this because I would like to talk to you more.
All right,
What
Bert.
days do you go live?
I do debate lives Monday, Thursday, Friday. I do this topic maybe once or twice a week.
All right, I'll come up here tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Take care.
Peace.
All right, let's look at some super chats, and then we'll bring up another guest. There's a 5-hour-long video. This is from Noach Nassara with the €5. There's a 5-hour-long video from Jasper Dasper, quote, debunking transphobia. That's a long video. Too bad I ain't gonna watch it. No, I'm kidding. But I probably won't watch it because it's long. From Rutabaga with the $2, seen the requirements for the NCAA has had for trans athletes. I did at one point. I don't remember what they are, so I could always look them up if I needed to. And then from Woolite Mammoth with the $5, anyone that calls it the jab already raises red flags. That's absolutely true. The jab. You gotta get the jab. The jab was mine. I made the jab. Oh, but now the jab is bad. You shouldn't get the jab because the jab is controlled by the Fauci ouchie. Fauci made the jab. All right, let's bring up another guest. All right. How about Tom Lang? Tom Lang, how's it going? Tom?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, are you MAGA?
No, I'm not. I just randomly requested and I got in. Fuck.
Oh, well, okay. We have $5 from Modman's Second Coming, Kosef et al., 2018, Ketogenic Diets, Evidence for Short and Long-Term Efficacy, Journal Epilepsia. Look, I'm not saying that it's wrong. I know that it was believed to be effective in the 70s, if only because of family history. I know that this was used in the 70s. I just didn't know if it was still being used. That's all. And it happens to be the case that my mother is, you know, somewhat of an expert in that kind of thing, so I'll talk to her and see what she has to say about it later. Landlocked Sailor Mike, how's it going? Sailor Mike, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hardly. I don't think anybody else can hear you.
Maybe I need
I
to
can hear
drop
you
off
now,
and
though.
jump back on.
It's great. No, it's great. I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect.
Are you MAGA?
I am.
All right. And so I have, I suppose, 5 questions to ask you. And then we can talk about it. These are not long questions that require deep explanations. I just want to know your views. Is that fair?
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first, do you think that humans are the main cause of climate change?
I don't. No.
Okay. Do you think that humans evolved from non-human ancestors?
Yes.
Do you think that the vaccines that we give to infants are generally safe and effective?
I think that
Oh, where'd he go?
generally. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think they're generally safe. I don't think we need all of them at birth.
Okay. And do you think that neuroscientists in general have correctly concluded that there is a useful categorical distinction between sex and gender?
Still learning on that and still trying to make a decision there.
Okay. And then final question is, do you think that MAGA is anti-science?
I don't think they're anti-science. They're less science than I'd like for them to be.
Okay, fair. So when you say that they're not anti-science, can you just elaborate on what you mean by that?
I mean, he hasn't defunded everything. Like he's not defunding all science, all research that's happening out there. I do recognize what he's done at NASA. I do recognize what could happen with RFK and as the health secretary. But I don't think he's completely anti-science. I think he might be anti certain types of science or certain areas of science.
What would you, so suppose that there was an anti-science president or an anti-science party in charge. They still have to follow the laws of the land, of course. What do you think that they would do? What would their policy decisions look like?
Well, I think a lot of it would go down this. I think to be anti-science, you have to be pro something. And I think that's what you're seeing kind of with the religious right and the push towards, national, whatever, Christian nationalism. And I think that's what you would start to see as people move more towards a religious, pseudoscience type of laws and things pushed that way than what you would see under a more sustained scientific society.
Sorry, one sec. I don't think that you need to be pro something in order to be anti something else. I think that it's enough to just be like, we don't like this, so we're going to defund it, we're going to not trust it, we're going to dismantle it, right?
Well, I think the biggest problem and the problem that I have with a lot of it is the funding, where the funding's coming from, what's funding the research, because if you follow the money, a lot of times what that funding source wants to happen with that research, they can make it happen.
So
I was in. Yeah,
wait, can you elaborate on what you mean by that? What they want to do with that research, they can make it happen. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, just with the numbers, they can make a statistically significant outcome utilizing different research techniques. for what you want to have that outcome look like. And I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for 15 years, and I know the language that they gave us to use when we're promoting certain medications, and I've read the studies and looked through them, and we can kind of the research, the hundreds of millions of dollars they're spending on studies, they can pretty much make them say what they want to say. So I think there's a lot of skepticism there. I'd much rather see funding be, I'd much rather see funding come from the government, actually, rather than outside sources or third-party sources.
Most of it does.
But government,
most of it comes from the government and nonprofits. A minority of scientific funding comes from for-profit organizations, and most of that funding is in medical or biomedical research and pharmaceutical research. Most of the funding for the other sciences, chemical, like chemistry, physics, mathematics, geology, most of these are not coming from. Actually, geology might get a lot of its funding from private organizations. I'm not sure, but physics, chemistry, mathematics, these primarily get their funding from the government.
Yeah, I think most of the skepticism comes from the pharmaceutical side.
But then why defund pharmaceutical, or why deregulate pharmaceutical companies then?
Yeah, I'm not for that. I'm not for deregulating pharmaceutical companies. Yeah.
But if that were the case, so are you familiar with the National Science Foundation?
Yes.
Okay, great organization. I think it's great anyway. So they have different kind of divisions for the different sciences. They have a mathematics division, they have a physics division, they have chemistry division, and so on. So if we just go look at their mission statement for the mathematics, they say, we advance research in mathematics, the science of numbers, shapes, probability, and change. Then they talk about how they're the leading supporter of fundamental mathematics. And then they say, NSF research in mathematics keeps the US at the leading edge of science and engineering. Fine, that's their mission goal, to keep the US doing like at the top, right?
Right.
So, and this is a federal agency, right? So the decisions come from the top. Well, at least they can come from the top, and in this case they are. And for some reason, the National Science Foundation just defunded the grant of the world's best mathematician who lives in the the world's best mathematician who happens to live in the United States. That seems kind of weird.
Yeah. Was there a reason given for that?
Because he was at, no, they don't give reasons when they cut the, when they like cancel a grant. So we suspect the reason is because he works at UCLA.
Okay, and it's just retaliation on that. How big is the grant?
It was I think it was $250,000 per year, I want to say.
So without knowing, and this is kind of where I think most of the cuts are coming from. I think that they're more focused on budget reduction in areas that aren't going to affect social safety nets. And I know we've seen it with Medicaid, the cuts with Medicaid, and we're seeing a lot of pain there, and I'm against that. And I know that there are going to come cuts in those places, but something has to give when the national debt is, unless you're into modern monetary theory, if the debt's pushing $40 trillion, eventually we're not going to be able to fund any of this stuff if we don't cut some of it.
You've fallen right into my trap card. Why was Donald Trump's proposed budget then increasing the deficit?
I don't think it's possible not to increase the deficit, especially when the short term
spending.
His budget increased spending over this. Well, you got to think
the 2026 budget was more than the 2025 budget.
Yeah, just on the short-term debt that we had to refinance, that alone.
No, it's because the DoD and ICE both got huge multi-billion. I mean, the DoD got $130 billion of extra funding, and ICE got like $60 billion of extra funding.
Yeah, and if it was up to me, I would have sliced all of that. I would not give any money to outside countries for, like we give to Israel or Ukraine or anywhere else until we got our deficit under control.
Sorry,
that's just
the ICE budget for 2026 is supposed to be 11.3 billion. It was like 60 billion over 5 years or something like this. But I mean, look, the DoD budget was increased not for like giving money to other countries. We don't give that much money to other countries. Mm-hmm. It was to like build new F-35s. and other things.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, like, that's something that I'm not for. I'm
But
not
then,
for.
and
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But like,
Mhm.
then it's not the motivation of the administration to cut funding to like literally the world's best mathematician alive. Like, everybody knows this. Everybody recognizes that he's the best.
Mhm.
It wasn't because they were just trying to reduce the deficit, because they're not trying to reduce the deficit. They are increasing the deficit, right? So there must have been some other reason why this budget was cut. And I'll leave it to you to speculate. But my guess is because they don't really value scientific research of that kind, mathematics, pure mathematics, say. And it was a good way to take a swipe at UCLA.
Yeah, and if I had to bet between the two, I would say it was to take a swipe at UCLA.
No, it's both. If they valued again, world's best mathematician.
Mhm.
If they valued him, they would be like, okay, well, we don't like UCLA, but we're not going to stop funding this guy. We want him to stay in the U.S. Like, what?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll look into that. This is the first I've heard of it, but I definitely will look into that with a very skeptical
His name is
viewpoint of why
Terrence
he did it.
Tao. You should look into it. And by the way, he's not doing like some super abstract stuff. He's doing like AI machine learning stuff.
Yeah, which is absolutely important for our future.
Yeah. So like this is like it's crazy that happened. And the reason why it happened is because his grant and then like 500 other grants at UCLA all got cut. It's because they just don't value it enough to be worth more than some petty revenge.
And I can probably agree that that's true. Based on what I've seen.
And that just sounds like it's anti-science to me. I don't know what else to call it. Like, if you don't value a thing,
I got to. Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. I mean, I'll tell you, I voted for the guy 3 times.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, this term has definitely been a shock. Just
it
this
shouldn't
first
have been. People have been saying this would happen the whole time.
Yeah, but we had a first term to judge.
Yeah, in the first term, he had like real politicians who were, his cabinet wasn't filled with sycophants, right?
Yeah, this one hits a little harder, especially if you value like social safety nets and healthcare and those sorts of things. And a lot of the stuff that was promised hasn't been delivered yet. We are only 6 months in, or 7-8 months in now, to this first term. And I think that the midterms are going to show. Yeah, I'm okay with the tariffs.
You are?
I mean, I'm okay with the tariffs. They're bringing in dollars. He's making some great trade deals with.
How much are they? I mean, because like they're bringing it's another tax, right?
Yes.
So it's like, I mean, that is one way that you could reduce the deficit, but like, who is actually profiting? Who is it actually helping, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know. Hopefully, so some things are going to be painful in the front end, just like the student loan debacle that's happening. It's going to be painful for people on the front end to correct it on the back end. For people that took out $200,000 worth of student loans and all these payment plans are being cut, that's going to hurt a whole generation of people that did that. But it should affect the price of education on the back end to where people aren't taking out that much money anymore because it's just not able to be loaned out. It's not able to be paid back.
But
so there's going to be some front end pain.
So I can agree that education shouldn't be nearly that expensive, because I think that preventing people from getting educations because they can't afford it, I think that's wholesale evil, basically. An educated populace is a civilized populace and all of that. So, and we want to be civilized. So, but I don't think the solution is just hurting the people who have, who are suffering currently. I think the solution would be to regulate the university systems. right?
Yeah, and I would be all for that, but I haven't seen that be proposed or established by a completely Democratic president and Congress under Barack Obama, or anything done under Joe Biden to do the
Well,
same thing. I just saw
I mean,
skyrocketing, and Joe Biden let everybody that had student loans kick the can down the road, but that can grows interest, and so our $50,000 student loans are now 120 because we haven't had to pay anything on them over that time period. So I don't see anybody proposing anything better. I would love to regulate universities, but then you're regulating university staff pay, you're regulating, and then the most brilliant minds that could be teaching us all of a sudden are going elsewhere to get employment.
But that's happening now as a result of current policy, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, look. All I'm saying is that the the United States is very, very rich. It could still absolutely afford to pay competitively pay university staff. University staff famously don't get paid very much, right?
Right.
Like the salary of university staff is not very high. So it's not like American scientists or American researchers who currently work at universities are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if all of a sudden the we regulate university pay to, cap out at $150K a year or something like that, all of a sudden they're going to go to China or Denmark, whatever. Like nobody pays academics well for the amount of training that they have, right? Like that's just a feature. Academics don't go into it for the money, right? That's not. But there is a reason why academics have generally been in the US, and that's just because generally the US has had the best universities. And the pay doesn't hurt. Like generally the US pay is comparable with pay everywhere else once you account for cost of living and everything. But the reason why we've had so many academics is because we funded so much of it. Like there's so many huge government grants that you can get as a scientist, as an academic. And if we stop doing that, yeah, they will leave.
Right. So what's the proposal here?
Well, I mean, you could you could just not have, like, for example, one could run universities like is done in most countries in Europe, where public education up to the university level is free. That's a doable thing to do. And if that means that the universities have to restructure, because the university's budget would be overseen by elected officials, if that means that the universities have to restructure, and that means that they have to, I don't know, pay their presidents or their board members less than $3 million a year, like, fine, okay.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I could agree.
Oh, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Okay. Guess he's gone. He probably got a phone call. From Grand Main with the $2. MAGA supports child predators. Maybe that's true. I don't think that they would like to believe that, though. Yeah, he probably got Thanos snapped. All right, let us bring up another guest. Let's bring up Fire 1969 Man. I don't know what that means, but let's bring him up because they're probably interesting. Fire 1969 Man, how's it going?
All right, sir, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Are you MAGA?
I wouldn't classify myself as MAGA. I voted for Trump, but...
Do you agree with Trump's actions?
Some, others I do not.
Okay.
There's plenty of things that I don't align myself with or agree with his actions on.
Sure. Do you generally like the proposed budget for the big beautiful bill?
There's plenty of things in it that I disagree with and I don't like.
Do you like the funding cuts for NASA, for the National Science Foundation, for the CDC, the NIH? Do you like those parts of it?
I'm not gonna come at him. I'm not in politics like that. I'm not looking at the budget. I don't know what he's cutting, why he's cutting it. So I'm not going to just totally come at it for that. Okay. I know that in order to reduce our budget, we're going to have to make cuts certain places. Now, if we're overly making cuts in scientific departments, I understand people having concerns about that. To your point, I didn't know if you want to ask any questions or not. You've done that with everybody else, but to your point on the scientific stuff, and this, you say, so I'm an atheist, right? Me, I absolutely agree that, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in the devil, all that kind of good stuff. Like I said, I'm an atheist, right? So I do believe in evolution. We evolved from, however we evolved, right? But that doesn't mean that science, right, is perfect in everything that it does straight out of the gate. When you look at scientific studies, scientific studies is broke down, okay, and it's broke down into biomedicine. It's broke down into psychological. It's broke down into a lot of different things as far as science. Now, I went ahead and I pulled this up for you, right? If you want to hear it, you don't have to. That's fine. But it breaks down science and how accurate science is, and there's a lot of areas where science is very, very accurate. There's a lot of areas. To the gentleman who was up here.
Yeah, tell me about it. So which was the most accurate?
Looking at it, let me scroll through here.
Or if you want to tell me where you're seeing it, I can pull it up myself, so I don't have to just ask it over
called,
again.
it's called. It's the. Let me zoom out here, dadgummit. Now, I'm blind. I'm an old man. LOANNIDIS. It's a study of theirs from 2005.
Does it start with an I?
It may be a capital I.
So
it's
capital I. And this is.
This is
what's the name of the study, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, that's the name of the study. It's from the.
Well, that's the name of a person. It sounds like.
Well, it's the line. However you pronounce that name, right? 2005 seminal paper. Published in 2005, and it's a research.
JPA, okay, Ionitis, sure.
Okay.
Okay. So
they were just talking about the accuracy of different studies, right? And so there's a lot of different studies.
But sure, let's just look at it.
It's just one. It's just one,
sure.
right? I wanted to walk up here. Yeah, I wanted to walk up here with
unless
something.
It's like some famously bad study, like I'm not too worried about it.
Right. And I get where you're coming from, right? I'm just saying that. This is just one study, right? But
by the way, I'm looking for the chart that you're mentioning. I don't see it anywhere.
Right, I'm trying to get to it. Right, I'm trying to get to it right now. So,
I'm looking at the whole paper. Hold on, Fire. Did you pull this up from an AI overview?
No, this is no. This is pulled up. This.
So then, where's the table
paper right here? Off of, I'm sorry.
Where's the table about which sciences are more accurate than others?
It's showing it right here.
What's the table number?
Physics and chemistry, psychological and social studies, biometrics, cancer trials, nutrition studies.
Where is this table?
Meta-analysis.
I'm looking at the paper. I don't see this table anywhere.
It's down at the damn bottom here.
Okay, so it's at the bottom. So I see. I just see. Yeah, I don't see any. Okay, hold on. Just do physics isn't even mentioned once in this paper.
It's like a table. It comes in like a table.
Hold on, I'm just gonna show you my screen right now because maybe I'm just like Delulu or something, but I'm not. Maybe I'm just missing something obvious. I don't know. Let me show you. Okay. Let me show you what I'm seeing.
Well, I'm not an expert at computers, boss. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. Is this what you're looking at?
No, mine is a broke down version, apparently.
But this is the author, right? John P. Ioannidis?
Yes.
And is the study called Why Most Published Research Findings Are False?
Yes.
So then where's the
it's a broke down version, I guess.
Figures? Okay, so here's one figure. Yeah,
mine doesn't look like that, boss.
Okay. All right.
I can't. I'm not an expert, man. I just pulled it up on Google, man.
I'm looking.
So
I don't know if it's in the study, man.
okay, well, like I
I
said,
don't see any tables with.
It's a broke down version of it, and that's fine.
Here's a Wikipedia. Oh, it's an essay. It's not even a study.
That's similar to it.
But this is the Wikipedia article.
Well, no, but it's
so in the paper, Ioannidis argued that a large number, if not the majority, of published medical research papers contain results that cannot be replicated. But it doesn't say anything about physics at all.
Oh, okay. Like I said, I've got a different. I can't tell you why, man. Like I said, I don't do this for a living like y'all do, and I can just tell you, I pulled it up here in Google. Okay.
Anyway, so let's just trust you. Trust you when you say that like physics is the most accurate, right? Is that the claim?
Well, no, I'm just saying that science overall, right? It has there's areas that it's flawed. Okay. Here. I'm just looking off. I'm looking off mine here. It says physics and chemistry.
Right.
Physics and chemistry. It shows to be like 90% accurate.
So then, why are we defunding physics and chemistry?
Okay. Hang on a second. So and then it shows psychological and social science is like 30 to 50. Okay, but biomedicine and trials is like maybe 11 to 25.
Look, maybe my point. Maybe you can justify. Maybe you say, oh, it's mostly wrong anyway, so let's not fund psychological science. But that's not the only thing that's being cut. What's being cut is all of the sciences, including the hard sciences, like physics and chemistry.
Right. I understand what you're saying. I was saying that to lead to this point, though. But if you look at this, like these different studies on the stuff here, they will say that like it's 90% accurate, so forth and so on. But if you go and you look at other studies, right? There's another one where it's saying that the funding of these coming from anything that's federal or anything like that leads for misstudies, if you want to call it that, because they can't reduplicate it. It's a one-off. They've only shown it to be have it done, produce the same result once within that study, so forth and so on.
What's the claim? Is the claim that like even in physics or something, if this physics research is funded by the government, then it's less trustworthy? Is that the claim?
No, they're just saying that anytime that you do anything with the government, okay, so you have like when you're talking about climate change, right? Mm-hmm. I believe that man has a part of climate change, but do I think that man is overall causing the climate to change, and it's us that's changing it so bad that we're never going to be? No. If you look at it,
but you'd be mistaken based off of all of the data that we have, right?
Well, okay, but if you look at different folks who were in that field that were experts, right, at one point in time, or people considered them experts, and now they don't because they've retired, they're no longer getting government funding. Even they have said, if you don't produce results that government agrees with, or their agenda, their ideology, right, then the funding stops coming in your direction. Many folks that and whether you want, I don't consider him an expert. I just know the man who founded the Weather Channel, the gentleman who was part of Greenpeace, all these different folks who they're more of an expert at it than I am, more an expert than other people are, even state the same thing.
Right. But you know that this is not just an American, like the climate change stuff is not just done by Americans, right? So like it's not just like, oh, the American government is pushing, like, no, it's like this is like a thing that almost everybody, like 95 to 98% of climate scientists all over the world agree with this.
Right. And I understand that, but why do the 95% agree with it? Is it because
it's true? It's more likely to be true if the experts agree with it, right?
Okay, it's more likely to be true. It's more likely to be true that the human beings are altering the planet, right?
Yeah.
We're producing too much carbon monoxide, so forth and so on.
Carbon dioxide, yeah.
But carbon dioxide, excuse me.
You're fine.
Carbon dioxide, but they've already proven that we need that, right, in order for plant life.
So you need more than like 90 parts per million, and humans have always existed with more than 90 parts per million. The issue is not that you want zero carbon dioxide; it's that you want less carbon dioxide.
Right. But we're
But
also
actually, this brings up a good point, Fire. Did you know that Trump is pushing to shut down one of the orbital satellites that monitors carbon dioxide emissions?
No, sir, I didn't know that.
This is like breaking news. This is like 2 days ago. Yeah, like 2 days ago. So there's a satellite that's in orbit around the Earth. It looks at carbon dioxide. And also, so it's very useful for climate scientists, right? Because they want to study how carbon is emitted, how it flows around the Earth, and all the things. But also, it turns out, purely by accident, we know that when plants grow, they reduce the carbon dioxide in the area, right? Like they locally reduce the carbon dioxide. So this satellite is also really useful for studying how quickly plants grow, where plants are growing, which is super useful for farmers, right?
Right.
And he's going to shut down the satellite, and it's going to burn up in the atmosphere. Why?
Okay. And do we know why? I'm not real big on.
They don't give explanations. They just don't give the funding.
Okay. And I understand where you're coming from. If you would also try to, and I think you're a fair young man. Okay. I don't think you're being unreasonable or whatever. But if you look at it from folks across the aisle, like, so for 3 years, we heard that there was no crisis at the border. Forget whether there was or not. We heard that there was no crisis at the border, right? Not forget if Trump, it's Trump's policy before that, all that stuff happened. Forget that. We heard, though, from everybody on the left and politicians, there was no crisis at the border for 3 years.
Sure.
Until the press secretary came out 3 years later and said that there's a crisis at the border and it's Trump's fault. Forget whose fault it was. They had said for the first three.
What does that have to do with anything science?
Right. I'm trying to get there. So they lied to the public. They knew there was a crisis.
Lie? Oh no! What a surprise! Politicians lie.
Yes. Joe. For the longest time, they said there was nothing wrong with Joe.
Politicians lie.
Right.
You got me. I'm so surprised.
Exactly. So
even if all of this is true, you're talking
is,
about politicians lying. This has nothing to do with science.
Right. I understand. Give me a second there, young man.
Okay.
I understand. So they lie. Okay. Yes, they lie. So you're wanting to take everything what was said from the left, all right, okay, or folks that supported the former administration or so forth and so on, and y'all will dismiss everything that's coming out of this administration. Okay, it's hypocrisy. When we have more,
where have I been hypocritical?
No. I'm not saying you in general. I'm not saying you in general.
Okay, but then what does this have to do with the conversation?
Okay, when you have government-funded programs that if you don't agree with the government, right, you don't get the funding, you're going to get flawed data.
I don't know if that's true.
Been the argument. That's been one of the arguments for a long time. There have been other scientific people who are no longer working for the government who have come out and said the same thing. Okay. And that's all I'm saying. You can't believe.
Well,
I'm just
look. So here's the issue.
Back in the 70s, they said we were all going to freeze to death. Now we're all going to burn up to death.
Okay. So Fire. Here's the issue. When you apply for a grant and you don't get the grant,
right?
Like you apply for a grant, you tell them what project you're going to do. The thing is presumably at the beginning of your project, you don't know what the data is going to say. So how could the government deny you based off of data that you don't have yet?
Boss, I understand what you're saying.
So how could this claim even be possibly true that the government doesn't fund you if you come up with data that disagrees with them when you only apply for the grant before you have the data to begin with?
Okay.
Like how could that possibly be true?
Okay.
That wasn't a rhetorical question.
No, I understand. I'm just saying, if you don't want to see something, you're never going to see it. And I understand that I can't sit here as one of these experts right here and just sit here and lay out all this for you, perfectly where you can see it. I'm not that guy. I never claimed to be. All I'm saying is folks who I've lived for 55 years, young man.
I'm not,
Okay.
I'm not
And
that
I say
young,
that, and I
but I
say
appreciate
that,
that.
I say that respectfully. You look really good, Dan. I'm just say that respectfully, right?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's
I
something
have
about
been
this
around.
camera. Maybe the lighting.
I've been around for a long time. Depending on how you are, you've been around for a long time.
I'm 32.
You've seen different. Okay. Okay. You've seen different things. Okay.
Yep.
And that's all I'm saying. I've seen a lot of stuff over my 55 years. The first thing that we're doing that we're all that we're all making a mistake is we're trusting anybody in DC. There is no party in DC. That only exists amongst the people, and we're all fighting with one another, and they're killing us. Now I give Trump a little leeway because he's a outside guy. I don't even think the politicians. I don't even think the Republicans
He's not an
like.
outside guy. He's been in politics for 10 years.
Well, he's more of an outside guy. He's not a.
No, he's not.
Even the Republicans. How
is
much?
he an outside guy?
How much?
He is the Republican Party.
Why is he having to do? Why is he having to do so many executive orders? Republicans
Because
own
he
everything.
can't get. Well, no, he has to do executive orders because there's something called the filibuster, right? And
Okay,
so
right,
it's
okay.
generally hard to pass laws, and he wants to.
Okay.
He wants to make policy when he's not legally allowed to, so he has to pass executive
Okay.
orders. But look,
Okay.
Fire. This is kind of like it's kind of getting off topic. The point is that
Okay.
it's just almost certainly not the case that like somehow, unless you think that there's like some enormous conspiracy, which I suspect you're not thinking that. It's pretty hard to believe that like somehow the people evaluating whether or not to give a grant to some scientist are somehow predicting the future as to what the outcome of the experiments will be in order to determine whether or not to give them the grant because it might find something that they disagree with, right? That's kind of far-fetched, but that's beside the point. I brought up this issue of like these telescopes,
media,
like these satellites, like they're being defunded and nobody gives you a reason.
Okay,
They
and
don't have to.
I'm
They don't have to
not,
give you a
totally
reason.
saying that I agree with that, right? I think that first of all, I think the American people should be told everything, with the exception of national security, if it's something like that, right? But satellites, why they're defunding it, why they're defunding, say USID, everything that they're funding through that, we should be in the loop of all of that. It's our damn tax money, period, and we should know what they're doing with it and why, period. Okay, like I said, unless it's got something to do with national security. So I absolutely would like to know. So you young people who do this on a daily basis, and y'all can inform the rest of us, right? Because I'm not following this every single day like this. I've got 8 grandkids, so forth and so on. But my point is
Congrats.
they should absolutely, thank you. They should absolutely be allowing the public to be able to have access to that, right? Of why they're doing this, what studies, or what they found, or why they feel like that needs to be removed for the budget, so forth and so on. Absolutely agree with that. All I'm saying is I'm not going to hang the man out to dry at this particular point in time because we don't know what the answers are.
Well, wait a minute. Why shouldn't you? He campaigned
one of
on
the things
transparency, but he's not being transparent. Isn't he going back on his word?
Man, he's been transparent on a lot of stuff, and it still ain't good enough.
What has he been,
I'm not saying he's been.
Has he though? What has he been transparent on that actually matters?
Man, like I said, you can make that argument all day long.
No, but I mean,
think
like
he's
really,
been-
like you said,
he's certainly
you said
been
he
more
has been
transparent than
what has he been transparent about?
Man, he answers questions from the media, which the media, yeah, there's the media.
But what has he been
More
trying-
than
like-
hardly than we ever saw. Joe Biden, his press secretary, she comes out and she answers and has tried to be
That's what the press secretary does. That's their job, right?
right, and she absolutely between his administration has been so much more transparent.
But like,
than
can you
Joe
give me an
Biden.
example
Hell-
of like him being transparent?
Uh,
Because like
his
there's
medical-
a pretty
his-
obvious
his-
one that's hanging over all of us, which is like, why are the Epstein files still being hidden?
Oh, Epstein! I'm all against him on Epstein. I'm so pissed
why
off
are
about
his
that
tax
case.
why are his tax returns still being hidden? He said 10 years ago he would release them.
He's hiding his tax returns. I guarantee you, I know he's hiding his tax returns because it's gonna say what everybody already knows, but then he's gonna have to defend it at
Mhm.
every turn too.
So,
because
so
that
he's
man
not
doesn't
being
pay.
transparent, right?
He does. There are certain. How many of those folks go out there and they show you everything like that? Why? Because either side can advocate an argument about they didn't pay. The right do it with the
Well, wait a
left.
minute. I'm pretty sure that didn't Biden release his tax returns? I'm pretty sure that happened. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that happened.
Sure,
Both he and
right,
his wife released their tax returns.
Right. And do we know all of that? Do we know all of where all of their money has come from?
Well,
Because
we have their tax
according to
returns,
different,
so like unless you're
we no,
claiming that they're like
oh, come
faking their
on, man.
taxes, then yeah.
Okay, so there's been a bunch of checks that have been written that they haven't proved where those come from yet, and it sure as hell wasn't claimed on his tax return. So I mean, I'm just saying, don't be naive, man. If you
Well,
be
no, but
intellectually
like Trump,
honest
like
with me,
you might
you
say
know,
that like, oh well, Biden was not as transparent as he should have been because even though he released his tax returns, there's this other thing that's unaccounted for, and maybe that's true. Like there's stuff I don't know. Maybe that's true. But Trump hasn't even done the bare minimum. Like Trump hasn't done anything. Like I can't think of a single thing that he's been transparent about. Like not a single thing.
really.
Yeah.
People asked about his health. Who released his doctor's stuff? The press secretary came out with that. They talked about different things.
They
People
released
wanted
his
to know about
his mental health evaluation. When did that happen?
They released his findings with his most recent medical event, right? Of his health, why his ankles were swelling, so forth and so on. I didn't say they released everything. I mean, hell, they released that Joe Biden was not in the mental state. They wouldn't find him guilty because he wasn't mentally all there, but we still let him
Guilty
be
of what?
president. Guilty. They found that he was not mentally.
Did they? I mean, it might be the case that he was that he wasn't mentally all there. That's probably true. But like,
okay,
you're talking about Biden when the question is Trump really being transparent? And I don't know under what world you can justify that.
I believe he's been more transparent than a lot of presidents before him. You can make the argument and claim all day long. I'm not going to sit here and debate it with you. I mean, I can't sit here and point out
like
every little
the
thing.
The things that people have asked him to do, the things that people actually want transparency about, namely where Trump's money is coming from and where it's going to. So that would be like taxes, because people are like, are you getting paid by like, there's questions about that, surely. And then the Epstein stuff. Right. Those are like the two things that people actually want to hear about. And those are the two things he's kept hidden for 10 years. Well, the Epstein stuff has been for, 7 months, and then the stuff after, like at the end of his presidency, his first term.
Okay. And I'm right there with you on the Epstein thing. I am absolutely there with you. And we're going to come down on him then, but we're damn sure going to give the previous administration a pass. I understand the previous administration isn't in here, and they're not doing nothing, and it's not on them. I got that. But I'm just saying. So we're going to hold this man's feet to the fire on that.
Yeah, do it.
We sure as hell didn't hold. We sure as hell didn't hold the previous administration.
Wait, what do you think? Why do you think he stepped down? Why do you think he didn't run again? Because people held his feet to the fire because he got so much backlash.
Okay.
His own party did, right?
Okay.
Right. That's what happened.
Absolutely. Yep. He didn't come out and write a letter stating, I'm staying in. The American people trust me. I'm not going nowhere, this, that, and other. And then have one hell of a bad night at the
look what happened was
and then
is
3 weeks later
everybody saw how bad it was, and then
letter, he was gone.
Right. No, but that's hold on, that's what should happen, right? When the American public wants something from our elected officials, like as a whole country, as a whole damn country, when the American public wants something, that's when we should have it. Now, you could say that like if there's division, like maybe half the country wants this, half the country doesn't want that. Fine, maybe there's reasons why like you shouldn't do that, right? But like when the entirety of the American public realized, oh yeah, there's something wrong with this guy, it took weeks and then he stepped down. But we've been badgering Trump for the Epstein files, for his tax stuff for years, and he's been keeping it secret. And the whole damn country wants this stuff.
Not the Epstein stuff. No.
The Epstein. We've wanted details about the Epstein stuff since he died. Right.
The Epstein broke underneath Biden.
Epstein died in 2018. It was either 2018 or 2019. No, he died in 2019. So Trump was still president for more than a year after Epstein died.
I understand. Okay. I understand that.
He died under Trump's care, right?
Yeah.
And actually, this is a good point. Somebody just mentioned in the comments. Is it true that Trump ran on releasing the Epstein files?
Yeah.
So then why isn't he doing it? Why is he lying to his constituents?
I didn't agree. Like I said, I don't agree with that.
Okay,
He
so,
did. He
so
absolutely,
look,
he absolutely did. I absolutely disagree that
Fire.
they haven't
So-
released it.
maybe you don't want to hold Trump to the fire about all of the science stuff, because maybe there's a
Oh.
good reason. But, like, hold him accountable for something, man.
I am holding him accountable. I don't agree with his stance on that. I didn't agree with his stance. But it's not like I say, okay, Trump, no bullshit. This is a bunch of garbage. You're not releasing anything. I want to release it.
Would you vote for him again if he ran again? All right. I think that he's gone. Should we end it there? Do we have any more people that we want to bring up in particular? All right. I think that we're going to end it here. I'm pretty hungry. I ate an early breakfast, so I'm going to end it, make myself some coffee, make myself some lunch. And yeah. So everybody, if you've been watching and you like this kind of content, if you like debate content, or if you like Ask a Physicist content, or if you like just the science content that I post on the daily, go down into the description of the YouTube video you're watching, or go into the link tree in my bio on TikTok and click on that Discord link. Or if you're on TikTok, copy and paste it into a browser. It'll work that way. Join the Discord. There's a bunch of like-minded people here, over 1,000 people there, all hanging out. I send out announcements there every time I post new content, every time I'm live. So yeah, go hang out there. Make sure you're 18 plus, of course. It's an 18 plus server. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for more debate content. Until then, oh, I have super chats. Sorry, I can't miss them. Until then, one moment. From Grand Main with the $2. Oh no, I already read that. No, then we're done. All right, everybody. Take care.